They say the second last race of the series is where it is won or lost, where hopes are dashed or championship aspirations are realised. And if that is the case, there is no more willing battleground than here in Toulouse. The athlete's favourite course, the fans' favourite race, and a guaranteed good time no matter where you are watching from. The site of total carnage in 2023, and we've changed nothing at all for 2024. Before we get to it though, let's remind ourselves how it went down last time we raced in London. We are back right in the heart of London. Let's get it underway. It looks though like it is going to be Lopez. Matthias now off the front. Georgia Taylor-Brown has eaten up that little gap. Second swim is where it really starts to string out. Two Brits at the front. Now it is purely about digging in. Taylor-Brown, statistically the fastest runner out there. And now we're back in the water again. Matthias out first, onto the last bike. Beau Grant's had a great transition.
Olivia Matthias now, nice dismount.
Now it's time for the short shoot. Matthias, Taylor-Brown takes it. Beau Grant could steal it from Taylor-Brown. It's Taylor-Brown in the red. She's going to take it at home. It is time to get the men's race underway here in London. 2 Stars and Stripes and 2 Crown Racing athletes at the front. And Hayden Wilde has put the hammer down. Wilde will pick up the short shoot. Berger's popped up like he does.
This is his domain, it really is.
Off the bike and into transition. That's podium racing 1, 2 and 3.
And this would be interesting.
The short shoot's been taken. Hayden Wilde goes into the lead. Hayden Wilde will pick up another one. He did it in 2021, he did it in 2022, and he does it in 2024. Well, after that, not only are we set up for one of the great race days, we're also poised perfectly in the team battle. Podium Racing, they need to hit back, but they are facing some setbacks today. Brownlee Racing, they need a big one to get off the bottom. And a very settled Crown Racing hold an 8-point lead with Georgia Taylor-Brown and Hayden Wilde going for their 3rd in a row. And Olympic gold medalist Cassandra Beau Grant at home and getting a big reception yesterday.
Yeah, I'm a bit impressed because there is many people, so I think it will be quite crowded tomorrow. Maybe it will remind us a bit of Paris with all the people clapping for us, I hope.
So Crown is at the top of the league, you're sitting in 2nd place. What can you do in this race to pull back a couple of points on Georgia?
I think I will just try to race like I did my last 3 races this season, and I mean maybe not Boston, but the other one were great. So I will just try to put my strength at the good time and try to race maybe more clever.
What are your thoughts on the course here? Because it's got to be the toughest one on supertri circuit, hasn't it?
I think it's maybe I'm not as technical as I've been before Olympics because I didn't work on it a lot, but maybe because of the last few rounds we had, it was already a bit working on the skills. But for the swim, I think it will be pretty cold, so it can change a bit the normal swim, I guess.
Good to hear from the Olympic champ. The women's race only moments away. Let's look at the league standings where those 2 wins for Taylor-Brown now see her on 44 out of a possible 45 points. So the Brit is in command. We know that with both Toulouse local Jean Lahaire and Beau Grant knowing they need a win here to head to Neom with a shot at the title. Taylor Spivey sitting there as well, ever consistent in 3rd position. The French crowds, as Cassandra predicted, are out in droves again, and they came to see their Olympic heroes. There is Beau Grant on the left and Leo Berger, the bronze medalist from Paris, on the right as the Olympic fever continues here in Toulouse in the south of France. And the crowds, well, that was 20 or 30 minutes ago, are very, very deep and only getting bigger. Let's look at the lineup, and it is packed with top-tier short course talent as always. World champions and Olympic medalists throughout. 15 points on offer for the race win, down to 1 point for 15th place, and that goes into the team total as well. So to win this, that means beating the world's best. Also tackling this brutal course, and it's time for Brownlee manager Non Stanford to take us through that.
We're here in Toulouse for what's going to be a very exciting race. The athletes are going to start by plunging into 16-degree water with the added dynamic of a very strong river current. They're going to finish the swim by coming up this very narrow ramp, which I'm sure will add a lot of drama to every swim. A tough start to the bike this week with a hill straight out of transition. I'll certainly be advising my athletes to think carefully about their gearing at the end of each bike leg so that they're ready for the race that's to come. And also to think about getting their feet into their shoes as fast as possible so that they can really attack this hill ready for the rest of the race. The bike leg is what really makes this course special, and once the athletes are on two wheels, they're going to be faced with ups, downs, twists, turns, narrow roads and cobbled sections. We're really going to see the more technically proficient athletes shine, but as we've seen over the past few years, this course brings a lot of drama and it's going to be an exciting day ahead. It's a long, straight run into the finish line, and so we can expect to see some really fast and exciting ends to the races. This course throws absolutely everything at the athletes, and so it's going to take a really strong, all-round athlete to be on that top step at the end of the day. Fingers crossed it's a Brownlee Racing athlete.
Right, so all the world stars, check. Hectic course, we've covered that. Normally, that would probably be enough, but not here in supertri. We haven't covered the format yet. One race format in 2024, and it's serious. Take a look.
The progress bar at the bottom of the screen will help you navigate the racing. Essentially, it's 3 triathlons back-to-back, starting with a super fast 300-metre swim, 5 1-kilometre bike laps and a 1-kilometre run. The winner of each of these disciplines will earn a short chute for their team. The short chute is a shortcut that can be taken in the third run. As the racing unfolds during the second swim, bike and run, the managers consider which of their athletes deserves an advantage in the final stage. They reveal their decisions in the third swim. You'll see the short chute logo appear next to the lucky athletes' names in the sidebar when they're on the bikes for the last time. Here in Toulouse, the athletes have to complete 2 laps for the third run just to finish them off. If they're lucky enough to have a short chute, they can use it on both laps. It might just win them the race.
Right, that is how it is all going to shake out, and it's what is ahead of these women. Alice Beto there in the blue for Brownlee Racing, Jess Fulliger, who missed in London last time around. There's Fanny Zalai in the middle of the screen as well. And what's interesting tactically here is we're seeing a mix of athletes in the wetsuit, because it's 15.5 degrees in the water, so wetsuit optional, and those that aren't, including Georgia Taylor-Brown. Let's introduce the teams, though, as they stand at the moment. On top is Crown Racing, the manager Chris McCormack, and they're on top because Georgia Taylor-Brown and Cassandra Bagran have gone 1-2 in the last 2 races. And Kate Woff, well, she is not only the reigning supertri champion there on the left, but also the runaway winner here in Toulouse, and that started her run to the title last year as well. Barbara DeConnick rounds out that team who have soaked up a ton of points in 2024. And they are chased, and they recently overtook Podium Racing, who have been very, very strong as well. Leonie Perriot is off a podium here last year as well. She's a French woman back here at home. Victoria Lopez has picked up a ton of swim points, so look for her to pick up the 4 points for the fastest swim and maybe the short chute as well. And Jean Lahaire, who lives here in Toulouse, disqualified last year and back for revenge.
Jan, well, it's been a really strong season for you so far. A win in Boston, and then you got that brilliant third place, but you came from nowhere in London in our last race. How are you feeling ahead of the race here today in Toulouse on home soil?
Yeah, I'm so happy to finally be able to race, because I had a lumbago last week after China, so I was sadly not sure to race. I think I'm not 100%, but I will give my best, and I think I will have an extra boost from the crowd.
You like this course. It was unfortunate last year you got a DQ, but you do like this course, and we know you race well on it. What are you feeling about the course and your competition?
Yeah, I think it will be, the race is hard and the girls are on fire, so everything will be hard, but I just hope I will stay focused and do what I know I can do, and I hope for a podium. At least.
At least. Just tell us a little bit. We have Katie Safiris racing in her last ever pro race here in Toulouse. What are your thoughts on Katie and the amazing career she's had?
Yeah, it's so weird to think she will not be there for the next one. Since I started on the international, she's always been here and always been so strong. So she's like an icon in triathlon. So yeah, it's a bit sad, but I know it's what she wants, so that's good.
Okay, well, good luck for your racing.
Thanks.
Yeah, a bit of a back issue for Jean Lahaire. Let's see if the adrenaline can get her through it, racing here at home. Now, Non Stanford is the manager of Brownlee Racing, who are sitting on the bottom at the moment. Jess Fulliger, though, who's been so consistent, she comes back in. Beth Potter has really found her run in recent weeks, fresh off a second place in China. Last weekend, Alice Beto is there, and Miriam Casillas comes in as well as fresh talent for Non and Brownlee Racing. And finally, is Stars and Stripes Racing, who've gotten stronger and stronger as time has gone on. Taylor Spivey has been the mainstay, picking up points in 3rd or 4th position. Kathy Ashar, Emma Lombardi comes in as well, and we know she races incredibly well at home, fresh off a 4th in Paris. And Katie Zafiris, as we said, in her very last race, which is a true honour to be here for. We head down now to Parker Spencer, the manager.
Well, Parker, a last ever race for Katie Zafiris on your Stars and Stripes team after an unbelievable career. I mean, what words have you had with her ahead of this one?
For Katie, Katie's one of the most successful triathletes that USA Triathlon, and not just USA, but triathlon in general, has ever had. I feel like it's a big privilege that she's finishing out her career here with Stars and Stripes Racing and gets to do it here in Toulouse. Before this, I told her, just go out there and have fun and do what she's done for a decade.
And just quickly on your women here, Parker, what do you think you can get out of this one today?
You know, we came here, we wanted an overall win at one of these events, and I think we have the women to do it and the men to do it. Watch out for Emma Lombardi today here in France on home soil.
And as you said, on home soil for Emma, the crowd here is unbelievable. Just a really quick word on them.
Yeah, exactly. The crowd's incredible. I can hardly even hear you asking me questions. They're so loud.
All right, Parker Spencer, he'll be happy after what was a very good outing in London last time. And we are close to race start, and that means Annie Emerson has joined us. She just joins us for the big events here, and you can see there's athletes with and without wetsuits. You don't see that too often, Annie, and it's 15.5 degrees, which means it is chilly.
Interesting tactics. We will have to see who gains time and who loses time in transition.
Yeah, Georgia Taylor-Brown without one, Jean Lahaye without one, Taylor Spivey hasn't got a wetsuit on either. 300 metres, 9 legs, 8 transitions, and it is time to get it underway for round 4 of Supertri 2024, the penultimate round before we head to the desert. Let's get it underway. Slow start from the middle of the pack, but other than that, they got out nice and quickly. Crown Racing on the right of your screen. Now, I think that's the place you want to be, and they're all kind of coming across as much as possible to fight the current that heads down the Garonne here from Pont-Neuf, which is the bridge you're about to see in the background of shot. Other than that, pretty nice conditions here. The water chilly, but in the air around 21, 22 degrees and not too much wind to speak of, and I think that's the long, languid stroke of Cassandra Beaugrand out the front early.
Well, this is going to be really interesting. I spoke to Chris McCormack yesterday from Crown Racing. He was very happy with their position on the pontoon because it does make and break races. There's a little bit of a current here, but not much. I'm just fascinated by the decision to wear wetsuit or not wear wetsuit. Some athletes will swim a lot quicker with a wetsuit, but the likes of Georgia Taylor-Brown, who's chosen not to wear one, and Taylor Spivey, perhaps it won't make that much of a difference. But just saying that now, it looks like it's Spivey that's right at the back there on the left-hand side of our screen. She's a little way back compared to where we'd expect to normally see her in the racing. But at the moment, it's Cassandra Beaugrand racing on home soil for the first time since she won the gold medal in Paris. And I think she's had a great start, but she's been beaten by Georgia Taylor-Brown the last 2 races, and she has a lot to prove here in Toulouse.
To be honest, I think she's probably relieved that the racing has started because the spotlight really has been on Cassandra over the past few days. The crowd really turns out. We had a big reception in the Place de Capitole, which is in the centre of town yesterday, and they're still feeling that love from Paris 2024 here. So lots of eyes on Cassandra. Now she gets to go and do what she enjoys doing. I think Victoria Lopez is there in 2nd position. We've got another Brownlee athlete as well.
That's Potter there in 3rd.
Yeah, Potter's having a good swim. So Lopez on the feet of Beaugrand. Don't forget there's 4 points for the teams on offer, obviously, for the fastest swim, but the short shoot for the swim is also a key prize that they will be fighting for, and that comes after the transition. So as soon as they hit the mountain line onto the first bike. A little gap forming between these 3 and the rest of the pack, and you know, I guess it can't be won here, but it can certainly be lost if you have a difficult swim and then not a great transition. You find yourself on the back foot.
Oh yeah, I'm just sort of wondering about the decision that Georgia Taylor-Brown and Taylor Spivey made not to wear the wetsuit, because we would not expect to see them this far back. But we've got to remember that they're going to gain time when they take off the wetsuit.
Yeah, that's right. You can see the athletes at the back. Like all the athletes at the front have got the wetsuit. All the athletes without the wetsuit are at the back. And I guess, you know, as anyone who does a race knows, you can pick up maybe, you know, depending on how good a swimmer you are or are not, maybe 10 seconds for 100. It's not as much when you get to the elite level and they're so good, but still, it helps if you've got a wetsuit on, especially if you're in fresh water. At least they don't have the same current that they had in the Seine about 6 weeks ago.
And just having a little look now, that looks like Victoria Lopez in the middle there. She'll be going hard to see if she can win that swim prem yet again. She's won a lot of points, hasn't she, for her team in the swim, although she hasn't yet finished a race this series because she has been eliminated. Of course, that 90-second rule that kicks in. Once you fall 90 seconds behind the leader, you are out of the race, eliminated. And we know that Tomo, our race ref, loves to eliminate athletes.
All right, straight up, and it looks like Beaugrand's going to win the initial team swim points. Lopez is coming up behind her, but don't forget, for the short shoot, the transition counts as well. Stars and Stripes athlete, and then I think it was Kate Woff second, but we'll see how much time it takes for the athletes with the wetsuit on to whip them off. Not always the easiest thing. Potter, then it's Safiris who's had a good swim, and then Woff. And then it's Fanny Zalai comes in around 6th position. So we'll see if the athletes without wetsuits can make it up. There is Taylor Brown, who has just running to the top of your screen. Wetsuits are off, and it could be, and it will be, Potter who's done the best job. She picks up a short shoot for Brownlee Racing.
Yeah, just having a look, Georgia Taylor-Brown just putting her helmet on now, and Beth Potter has got the short shoot. She was first across the line on the bike.
Spivey had a good transition there. She moved up into 2nd position. Safiris, Woff, Taylor-Brown made up a lot of time as well. And then you can see at the bottom right of your screen, the athletes are starting to drop off the back there. Miriam Casillas-Garcia, a couple of Stars and Stripes athletes there as well. And the going already very, very tough. Leonie Perriot's been a little bit tardy as they head up and onto the top of the course for the first of 5 laps. Normally 4 laps. Here it is 5 laps on the bike each time, and then 1 lap on the run for the first 2 stages. And then we finish with a 2-lap run just to add an extra kilometre into things. But it's Potter off the front, and she needs a good result, Annie.
Oh, she certainly does, Will. I mean, the bronze medalist from Paris started with an elimination in Boston, 6th in Chicago, and 10th in London, where she was racing on home soil. So she really needs a good result here. I'm not sure what's been going on with her. She was crowned the eSport World Champion back in London in April, but she's had a difficult series so far. I think she's going to do something a little bit better today than what we've seen in the last 3 races. She recently raced in China in the World Triathlon Championship Series, where she took 2nd place. Georgia Taylor-Brown was 3rd. So I think Potter started to find some form again, perhaps after a little lull after Paris. But we can see now leading the way as the athletes descend down along the waterfront. Looks like Georgia Taylor-Brown is up there. Spivey is up there as well. We've lost Cassandra Beaugrand, though, Will.
Yeah, that's actually Kate Woff, and then in the back there, I think we're going to see Beaugrand and Taylor Brown, and then the rest of the pack. But, you know, athletes like Jean Lahaye. Jean Lahaye was last out of the water, so, you know, coming off the back of a strong race up to her disqualification last year and a win in London, she was last out of the water this time, so she's got work to do to come back into things, and we'll get another split as they come across the transition line. But at the front, not only is Jess Fulliger sitting there in equal 3rd position, but Beth Potter's on the front, and that means Non-Stanford will be very happy she's with Adam Leach.
Beth opted not to wear the wetsuit, got it off super quick to get that short shoot. What kind of a tactic was that?
Well, we were unsure really how it was going to play out. The girls were really 50-50 on whether to wear a wetsuit or not. Beth opted to wear a wetsuit because she gets quite cold. And yeah, it paid off because she came out at the front of the swim and she managed to get off quickly and got the short shoot. So that puts us a bit ahead at the start of the race already, so that's great.
Yeah, and just as they move into it, Fulliger's moved into 2nd position. So Brownlee Racing 1-2 at the moment. And then Kate Woff, last year's race winner, who hasn't had the season she probably would have liked thus far in supertri, followed by 2 Stars and Stripes athletes in Spivey and Safiris. I wonder, you know what, if Safiris wins this race, she might go, hey, you know what, I don't need to retire now. That's how you want to go out on top. And Fulliger has pushed off the front. She wants the short shoot for Brownlee Racing. Obviously, they can't take 2, but they can deny another athlete. This is only the 2nd of 5 laps, and she's broken off the front. Woff goes with her now.
Well, I did think, actually, Will, that Jess Fulliger would have a good chance to do something pretty special in this race. So far this season, she's had a 6th and an 8th and didn't race in London, but this is her sort of course. It's a real biker's course.
So Fulliger, Woff, Potter at the moment. Now, Fulliger's been solid. She has been sitting off the front in races. She's finished in 5th, 6th, 7th position. She hasn't approached the podium yet. She has missed London and then come in for this one. So she's, in essence, not quite in the race for the overall podium, but she can contribute to Brownlee's points and, of course, wants the race win here. She's been getting better and better across the course of the season. Whereas Woff, who sits behind her, has, I think, been disappointed. And I think it's funny this year because coming out of the Olympics, it's how you handle that, whether you have a big flat period after the Olympics. You've been building up to it for 4 years. Some athletes have that. Some athletes have gone on with it and continued racing and continued getting results. It's really, in a lot of ways, a mental game of how you get yourself back up, and maybe it's just taking this little bit of time for Kate Woff to come back to herself and her level of racing. Yeah, and she's certainly going to be confident on this course. She raced so well last year when she convincingly took the victory here. It was her first win in supertri, so she's looking good today, that's for sure. So expecting something pretty special from the Olympic athlete. Under the Pont Neuf for the 3rd of 5 times in the opening bike, and you can see at the bottom of your screen where we are in the race. 3 triathlons back to back to back before we see that checkered flag. And the short shoots are won on the first swim, bike and run, which means the first athlete over the mountain line at the end of this bike will also pick one up. And at the moment, it's going to be between Crown Racing, who will get one, or Brownlee Racing, who will deny them one by picking up the second. They'll only get to take one overall. Big gaps forming as well. Zafiris and Spivey tucked together, the 2 Stars and Stripes athletes who've raced together so much for USA over the years. Taylor Brown 13 seconds back. Miriam Casillas having a good race. Lahair has moved up from 16th to 8th during this bike. Lombardi's picked up a couple of places, but Beaugrand has dropped well back. 19 seconds in the first 3 laps after leading out the swim. So she is not enjoying this technical bike course. No, I mean, she's improved so much and she rode so well in the Olympics on that wet, tricky course. But I think she said herself in her earlier interview, you know, she feels like she's not as technically strong as she was. And I think she's got a lot of pressure on her shoulders racing here in Toulouse as the Olympic champion. Potter just about, or not quite, trying to hang on to the wheel of Jess Fulliger. This is a great duo here. Woff racing and riding brilliantly, and Jess Fulliger as well, one of the strongest cyclists for me in Super League, really being able to show off her form here on this tricky bike course. But Potter is just hanging on, isn't she? Crawling back a bit and then dropping off as they hit the more technical sections on this course. I love this course. It's really got everything. Well, we will see whether Beth Potter has the run legs that she showed in Weihai, or if she's still not quite there or thereabouts, if she does indeed have to run her way back up to these 3, because you know, these gaps can get bigger and bigger. But also unsurprising that we've got 3 Brits on the front at the moment as well, because the Brits as a group, I guess as a whole, have solid biking skills because they deal with changeable conditions and a lot of different changes in surface as well. So generally, the Brits will get out there in any weather. Oh, that's for sure. I mean, Potter and Fulliger both are consistently training in dodgy weather. I mean, even this summer it's rained the whole time. I mean, thankfully, it did rain last night here, but the streets are dry now, thankfully, for this race. But they were very wet this morning. But it's great to see Brownlee Racing doing so well, because actually sitting in 4th place overall in the league, it's not been a great series so far for them. But I'm just interested to see what's going on behind. And we can see now, Beaugrand has dropped another few seconds down in 21st position. This is not the start that she wanted, having led out of the swim. Yeah, she's been overtaken by Fanny Zelai, the 16-year-old, has just eased her way past the Olympic champion. Meanwhile, Taylor Brown picked up a couple of seconds on that lap, and we see our race winner from last year, Woff, take the lead and Fulliger tuck in behind. They're going to come through the top end of the course. That is turns 8 and 9, which means they're coming under the bridge. Now, you'll be able to see the short chute on the left-hand side of your screen, which is the shortcut they'll be able to take later on. It just cuts through there and probably gives you 2 or 3 seconds each time. You can take it twice this time as well. Feet out of the shoes. They're going to head along the Promenade Henri Martin one more time, and we're going to head into the opening run. Now, the first athlete across the mountain line after this transition will pick up the short chute. It's going to be out of Woff and Fulliger, barring incident between the two of them. Both off before the dismount line there. And it's whoever has the best transition, because we like to reward transition as well in supertri. One end and the other, and will it be Fulliger who gets past, or will it? Looks like it probably will. Little trouble with the shoes, and Brownlee Racing deny Crown Racing the short chute, and Fulliger heads out onto the run first. Potter storms out of transition, trying to catch up to the pair of them. There is Spivey, who's already got the swim cap on for the next swim. Garcia's there. Lahare's moved up. Little issue for Taylor Brown. Lombardi, Perio, Zephyrus, Shah, and Taylor Brown had a problem.
Oh, Taylor Brown made a little bit of a hash of that transition. I think she worked out as well. She wasn't in the right gear, so she took the time to make sure she got the bike back in the right gear, because as you come out, the athletes go immediately around the corner and up the hill, and if you're in the wrong gear, you're in trouble. And then on top of that, she couldn't get her shoes on. Looked like she lost around about 10 seconds. Beau Grande there, as you're just pointing out, well, 34 seconds down.
Dear, oh dear, Cassandra Beau Grande losing time very, very quickly, and losing maybe her chance at the overall win. The two there together fighting. Potter trying to move up, and a group of 5 or 6 as Taylor Brown tries to tack onto the back, but Woff looks like her old self back here in Toulouse. An issue we're hearing for Beau Grande in transition there. Incorrectly racked her bike, so had to go back. So insult added to injury in terms of time lost for the Olympic champion here at home in France. Well, Potter are trying to bridge up, and Chris McCormack will be happy seeing Woff at the front, even with the travails of Cassandra Beau Grande. He's the manager for Crown. He's with Adam.
Chris, Kate Woff not had the best series so far, but she loves this course. This looks like a great race for her so far.
Well, she's the defending champion on the course. She's a bit nervous going in because she's had poor form, but she got a really good start, opted for the wetsuit. And when she gets away on the bike, she had Fulliger with her. It was get the gap. With the 1-lap run each time, I think she knows she can capitalise on these first 2 triathlons, and she has to hang on for the last one.
There you go, some insight there from a 4-time triathlon world champion, 2-time Ironman world champion, Chris McCormack, who's been steering this team since its inception, but very impressed with what Jess Fulliger is bringing today, has to be said. Liche Beto, Fanny Zalai, Cassandra Beau Grande, who's run back up that gap of 9 seconds on the first 600 metres of that run and goes past that group. Is just such a supreme runner. Not enjoying the bike, though.
Oh, wow. This race has everything. I'll tell you what, the next swim is going to be interesting. We know the water is under 16 degrees. No athlete will have a wetsuit on this time. I think we're going to see all sorts of things going on. Some athletes are going to cope a lot better than others. Potter now prepping herself for the water. The hat's gone on, as it has done for Woff and Fulliger. And Leonie Perio has had an absolutely storming run there, running herself into 4th place. Lahare, who was in the lead here last year but was DQ'd after not doing up her helmet. She won the first outing in Boston, 3rd in London, is tucked in there in 7th place. Spivey a little way down, and Georgia Taylor Brown, after that dodgy transition, finds herself further down than she would like.
So this time it is Woff that picks up the short chute, leading over the dismount line. So Crown get 1 back, and that'll be very important. Fulliger follows Woff into the water. And it is Woff that goes first. There is Jess Fulliger. So the 2 Brits fighting it out for Crown Racing and Brownlee Racing. Brownlee at every point that they can get. Perio's had a very good run to put herself up in 3rd. And Lombardi's had a great run as well. Beau Grande has taken that gap down from 34 seconds to 19 in that run. And there she is. She's a little tardy getting into the water. She needs one of the... That's... What is she on a little Sunday swim there? She just stopped running. You could dive.
I mean, you've got to love Cassandra Beaugrand, haven't you? Honestly, the Olympic champion. She always entertains us. I tell you for one thing for sure, Will, is she must have had the fastest run split because she absolutely flew around that.
Yeah, we'll get confirmation on that because that does go to the team points. But you're right, she flew and then she just did that little like walk into the water like when it's really cold and you don't know whether you want to get in or not.
Yeah. Oh, she did. She was like, oh, that's how I am when I stand on the edge of the pool and it's like 30 degrees, not 15 and a half. But this is what is fascinating about this race because I think the positions are still going to change a lot. Looks to me like Georgia Taylor-Brown has sort of swam herself back into this as well. But let's wait and see. About 150 metres to go or a little bit more on this swim.
Well, you can see the splits as they got into the water was on the left-hand side of your screen, and it had Taylor-Brown at 13 seconds back. But you can see her in the red there on the left-hand side of your screen. Woff and Fulliger still leading, but Taylor-Brown has erased much of that gap heading into this second swim. As you can see, actually, how quickly the... it looks a little quicker from that angle, the flow from left to right as they continue to push against it. So they're going to be a little slower as they make that turn and head upstream towards the second buoy. And that obviously always helps the stronger swimmers as well. Little pack behind them by about 10 seconds are working together to try and erase that gap. But Woff is looking supreme at the moment. And the best spot to be probably is sitting on her feet, which Jess Fulliger is.
Yeah, this is a great first or second swim for Woff. Doesn't seem to have any problems here with the chilly water. Let's not forget she was the 2023 series winner as well. I think we focus a little bit on her poor form this year so far. It's not been easy since the Olympics for her, but it would be great to see her do something, get herself back on the podium. She did, of course, start the season strong with a third in Boston, but it went a little bit downhill after that.
It did a little bit, and it's you know, this course, things change more quickly on this course than basically any other place that we go to, because you need to be such a complete athlete to be able to stay off the front, and we can see athletes really falling behind off the back. Barbara DeConnick from Crown Racing, she went into the water 56 seconds in arrears, and she is all by herself, so she'll be starting to into the danger zone in terms of the 90-second elimination, which would be very sad this early in the race for DeConnick.
Yeah, DeConnick so far has had 3 eliminations. We'd all love to see her hang on, but it's not looking like it's going to be today because she's out there on her own. This race is going to get tougher and tougher. It really is. No athlete is going to have an easy ride here today, and it's going to get interesting as the athletes now make their way through this second swim of 300 metres, and it looks like there is a change of lead. I'm wondering if that's Spivey.
I think it's Lombardi, actually. Well, it's hard to know. Lombardi and Spivey from Stars and Stripes were both there or thereabouts.
We will get a time check.
It could be Spivey. I mean, obviously, she raced long course last weekend and finished in 11th, led out of the water and into T1. Actually, when I look at that stroke there, it does look more like Spivey. And then behind that, Fulliger, Woff.
There we go. Let's have a look.
No, you're right. It is Taylor Spivey.
Yeah, it is Spivey.
So she was 10 seconds back going into the water, 11 seconds. So she's had a good swim.
Georgia
Taylor-Brown there behind, and Lahair. And they continue coming out of the water. Potter in the little screen. Woff turns, sees Taylor-Brown, who's had a great swim. Lombardi as well. This race complexion keeps changing. Lahair, Perio, and they're coming back together. Now, the short shoots have been run and won. Now it is about putting time into the field as Fulliger continues her run off the front. Spivey, the gap is erased. Then the 2 Crown athletes in Woff and Taylor-Brown. Little issue there for Lahair. She tries mounting again. A slow mount for Lombardi as well. And Potter.
Oh, this is tough, this first part. It's difficult. We don't get the best camera angle on it, but the athletes come out and they turn immediately right uphill, and we saw Lahair there fighting with her gears. Georgia Taylor-Brown made that right decision in the previous transition where she took a bit of time to make sure that she was in the right gear. We can see now it's not steep, but I tell you what, from a dead start, straight out of transition, around that right-hand bend.
Someone's had an issue there, I think, on the side of the...
It's going to be a gear issue, I would imagine. Let's have a look and see if we get a replay.
Initial thoughts was Lahair. Let's hope it isn't. We'll see on the timing. as we go. But back at around turn 3 at the top there, looked like there's someone stopped on the side of the road, and it looked like a white kit. The elimination flag is hiding behind Michael Thompson's back. He's hiding it. DeConnick is trying to get across the line, and she will this time. But he's threatening with it, isn't he? Look at him stalking her on the back of shot. Now he pulls out the red. Fulliger on the front, though. She doesn't mind heading down through turn 6 and 7. Tricky little corner that off camber, and then you can see the gutter on the right-hand side, but Fulliger's got it on rails, Annie.
Oh, how well does she ride, honestly. I love to see her on a bike, I really do. I've seen her on many occasions riding off the front of races, and here we are watching her in Superdry demonstrate her absolute brilliance.
Yep. Oh, he's got it out. Look at that. Victoria Lopez has fallen foul of the 90 seconds. She managed second in the swim. She has actually been unwell in the lead-up from this one, and she only arrived yesterday from the US, so she
That's tough.
Has had a bit of a difficult lead up to this one, and it has counted. She went out there to win some swim points. She won 2, did her job.
Well, this is interesting now, isn't it? Looking at Spivey, a little bit cautious around that bend, but we've got Woff up there, Taylor Brown and Spivey, and this looks to me like it's going to be a little bit of a breakaway group, because these are 4 really, really strong cyclists, although Lemon Lombardi, I'll get that right, Emma Lombardi, 12 seconds down. Perriot is with her, a really strong cyclist. Potter, who led earlier on, has suffered a little bit in that chilly swim and now finds herself 14 seconds back. I'm not sure if it's going to be Potter's day. I'd love to see her on the podium. She's only been on the podium once in Supertri, and that was in Neom. So Potter now fallen down, 14 seconds behind in 7th place. Fanny Salai having a strong performance here. 16-year-old, the youngest athlete by far racing Supertri, is 32 seconds down. And having a look now, Safiris and Beaugrand. So Beaugrand, having made up all that time on the run, now finds herself 40 seconds down. So she's done more than yo-yo, hasn't she? This is a complete roller coaster we're going through with Cassandra Beaugrand here.
Yeah, it's a French roller coaster for Cassandra Beaugrand. Zafiris as well has dropped well back into 11th position. And the gaps are getting big now, so we will see more eliminations, because those at the front are pushing, and they are pushing hard. And it's Fulliger, Woff, Taylor Brown and Spivey. 3 race winners from Supertri in the past, and Jess Fulliger as well leading them all. And there is the group, and they are looking to put time into the chasing pack, led by Lombardi and Perriot, the 2 French women. Potter as well, Casillas, Zalai and Alice Beto. Your top 10. Beto obviously returning to a place that doesn't have fond memories after that crash with Nicole van der Kate 12 months ago. And up they go again for the 3rd of 5 laps. And this little group is a good number probably to work together for. Any more than that on this tight course, it would be a little unwieldy.
Yeah, it's a great little
That's a spot to watch it from.
It is. I mean, I love this race here in France, because the French love their triathlon. They come out in their absolute forces here. They really do. We're just having a look. Miriam Garcia and Fanny Salai finding themselves way down now. 34 seconds, 35 seconds.
You got to love what Zalai brings to this racing, though, at 16. She just gets better and better, and I guess it's about managing her brilliant talent over the coming years and exposing her to racing with athletes that are around her right now. I mean, if you look at the class of athletes like Zafiris, twice a Supertri champion, twice an Olympic medalist. She's the former world champion, Beaugrand, Olympic medalist as well, gold medalist, in fact. And, you know, she must look at that, Zalai, and think, wow, I'm ahead of them.
And she's so driven. It's not something often you can see younger kids maybe driven, pushed a little bit by their parents, but it's actually Fanny Salai who supports her every race, who's trying to hold her back. She's a wonderful athlete to watch at 16 years of age. You have to think she's going to have a pretty exciting future in triathlon.
We've got another another elimination flag, and it is DeConnick. And I can tell you as well that Jean Lahair, who I thought I saw on the side of the road, is not on our timing sheets. So bad news again, maybe. We'll get confirmation, but I think Lahair is out of this race. Another mechanical on the bike. She had one in Paris. And let's hope that, I hope I'm wrong, but I think that Jean Lahair has had a mechanical at the top of that hill. And meanwhile, Barbara DeConnick is out. And at the front, the two Phoenix helmets of Georgia Taylor-Brown and Kate Woff amongst that one, with Spivey, who's tacked on to the back, will just hate to be in fourth, hates fourth, been fourth a lot, and Jess Fulliger, but confirmation that John Lahair has picked up a flat tyre.
Well, that's I mean, I feel for her, honestly, because she had an opportunity today to get a couple more points to challenge for that lead overall. She got a first place in Boston, fifth in Chicago, and then that brilliant third. She was miles back and put it all back to finish on the podium alongside Cassandra Beaugrand and Georgia Taylor-Brown a couple of weekends ago in London. So it's a difficult day for Lahair, because I think she really wanted to improve on that fifth place in Chicago. The athletes, of course, going into the final, we've had 4 races. They'll take 3 of their best results and the final in Neon, which takes place in 4 weeks' time on the 3rd of November.
So Lahair won't improve on her 39 points overall in the championship series for the individuals, which means she will drop from second further down, depending on the results of the rest. Beaugrand's not looking good to add too much to her total. Taylor-Brown is right in the box seat in terms of the individual, because she will go in, if she wins this one, with the maximum 45 points. If she doesn't, if she finishes 3rd or 4th or 2nd here, she'll go in with 44 points. So she only stands to be able to improve by 1 point with a win, because she already has won 2 races and second in the other one. Spivey can move up a decent amount as well. She's sitting in 3rd at the moment on 37 points, and Fulliger doesn't figure because she's missed too much, so she's not in the top 10.
Well, I've got a feeling that Fulliger at the moment is riding her way into a great place as well on the overall standings. She finished 11th last year in the series and has had a 6th place and an 8th place so far in Boston and Chicago. So great to watch Fulliger, who of course spent many years living in France. Listened to her yesterday when they were doing all the presentations, speaking her beautiful fluent French. But it's a great day for Fulliger, and I just love to watch her ride. She's so strong, technically so good. And this, as you pointed out, Will, is just such a good group, because there's no weakness in here. There really isn't. All 4 of these girls ride brilliantly. They're all strong. And I think at the moment, this is where our podium's coming from, barring disaster. But of course, they still have a run to go and another whole round of swim, bike, run.
Yeah, and speaking of the swim, I mean, I was just thinking about, you know, that 3rd fatigue swim, which they're going to undertake very, very soon as we head into the last lap off the bike and the shoes are out. They're all good swimmers. So it's not as if one of them will suddenly put 10 seconds into the group. In fact, Georgia Taylor-Brown raced a 10-second gap. Taylor Spivey swam up 10 seconds, and the other 2 were on the front. So if anything, Spivey and Taylor-Brown have got slightly better swims as they head into transition the last time. Hands in the air from Chris McCormack. The bike's gone down for Fulliger, but she saved it, and luckily she's in the 2nd slot there with Brownlee first in and Crown at the other end. So 3 of the 4 teams represented. Fulliger has managed to recover from that, and looks like she'll head out again. A little tardy again from Taylor-Brown. Woff was good. Spivey okay as well. She's got that swim cap on still.
Well, Fulliger's got to go out really hard here, and this is going to hurt her. She's got to hang on to these 4 girls, because her run is improving for sure, but out of the 3 disciplines, it is her weakness, and she's got 3 strong runners around us. We see there, Lombardi's gone out. Potter has done well to stay in 5th position. Leonie Perriot as well, 19 seconds down. She'll run herself back into this race. She had a really strong, fast first run. Miriam Casillas is still here as well. She's standing in for Olivia Mathias, who's out this weekend.
Yeah, I think those 3 that are chasing and leading that chase pack, which is Potter, Lombardi and Perriot, all incredibly strong runners. So whether they can take much time out of this group is yet to be seen, but it's only a 1K run. We've seen it happen before. We'll see what happens now. Taylor-Brown's got that faraway look in her eye that she gets when she feels in control.
I mean, she's just pretty invincible. After Paris, where she, I think, felt that she could have done better, although having sat out virtually well over a year of racing with injury in 2023, I think her 6th place finish was very commendable. But she's built herself back, I think, to the fitness that we saw when she won the 2022 series. And at the moment, with 2 wins and a 2nd place, I would not be betting against her for another title, that's for sure.
You got to say, if Crown Racing go big today and end up with a 1-2, a British 1-2 with Taylor Brown and Woff, then they could really put podium racing to the sword. The Crown women have scored 134 points between them and the men 114. The podium men have scored 140 to the women 100. But so making hay while the sun shines is Chris McCormack. If they can go 1-2 in this one, Spivey wants a piece of that podium and she wants the top step. It hasn't happened too many times for Taylor Spivey, but she's always there or thereabouts. And Fulliger is on track for her best result, but she doesn't want that to be a fourth as she drops slightly off the back over this 1 kilometre run.
Yeah, she's going to have to play it tactically. She really is on the bike, but it's difficult because I think these four are pretty equally matched on the bike, although I think Jess, for me, just tips it. So she's going to have to play this tactically because she doesn't want to come off the last bike onto the run with the other three athletes around her if she is to make the podium, and she's got to stick with them now. It's really important in this swim so she gets a nice draft. The three in front of her perhaps are the slightly quicker swimmers, and we can see now there's a little bit of a gap forming. Jess Fulliger, just with a couple of 100 metres to go, has really got to hang on.
This could break her race, Fulliger. This could see her lose the podium because she doesn't want to have to swim on her own or have to swim up to that group. Those three runners we talked about, Lombardi, Perriot and Potter, are trying to break down that 16-second gap, and stuck in no man's land is Jess Fulliger. So the three of them shoes off and straight into it. Spivey's done the entire run with her swim cap on, and out she goes again. Beaugrand was 48 seconds back at the end of that, the start of that run, at the end of that bike, with Zafiris and Alice Beto and Kathy Ashar.
Fulliger's had a good transition. She gets onto the back of the swimmers there. Really important that she gets that little draft. Spivey's gone wide there on the right-hand side. They'll be relieved to be in the water for the last time. But chatting with Léa Berger yesterday, a lot of the athletes were saying they're a bit nervous about the water, but he said the adrenaline will pull you through, I think. If you dived in for a quick dip, it would feel pretty cold, but I think with the racing adrenaline in your body, it perhaps won't feel as bad. There's a little group there of three. Potter's in there. Perriot, who was second here last year, loves this course, doesn't she? She really hasn't had a great supertri season so far. She had the fastest run in Boston, finished fifth, and then was eliminated in Chicago and London. So the French athlete racing well on home soil.
So Beaugrand started that run 48 seconds back, only managed to take 7 seconds out of the leaders. Perriot, Lombardi and Potter didn't manage to take any time out of Taylor Brown, at least, and Woff at the front. It stayed about steady across the course of the run, the gap between 5th to 7th and 1st to 4th. I can confirm that the decision from non-Stanford for the short shoot is going to Jess Fulliger, who will be happy to have that one in the back pocket. Likely it will go to either Taylor Brown or Kate Woff. We'll get confirmation from Chris McCormack, but Taylor Spivey will be operating without one. It can be taken in either of the 2 laps on the run that form the end of this race. So a nice extra 1 kilometre for the chasers to try and make back a little bit of time as they head upstream. Confirmation coming through my headset right now that it is in fact Kate Woff that gets it. So Georgia Taylor Brown will operate without one, and she can take it up with Chris McCormack afterwards. She did win it though, so sometimes the managers will decide that the person that won it was the person that gets it, if indeed there are 2 in a similar position in a race. So McCormack has done that, taken the coward's way out.
Just having a look at the swim here now. Georgia Taylor Brown has pulled away ever so slightly, although she slowed turning around that buoy there, and the athletes are back on her feet. I've got a feeling she's going to want to really push this swim and bike on now, particularly when she works out that she doesn't have the short shoot.
Okay, we're going to head down now to Adam Leach, who's got Tim Don, the manager of Podium Racing.
Tim, Jean Leher with a flat tyre, a DQ last year as well. She just can't buy a break on this course.
Oh man, they call it home court advantage. I really feel for her. She was building through the race. She took a risk with no wetsuit. Yeah, I mean, what can you do? If you get a puncher, you get a puncher. One thing, though, I think we need to review is I think Cassandra Beaugrand left transition without a helmet done up. So I definitely want to see that on a replay sometime soon.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the first we're hearing about it. So Tim Don is on it, and he has dobbed in Cassandra Beaugrand. So we're going to see if we get a replay on that. Now, if you look at Podium Racing, no wonder he's upset, because with Lopez being eliminated early, and then Leher has been eliminated mechanically as well, it rests on Leonie Perriot and Fanny Zelaya. So the gap between crown and podium, with 2 crown athletes at the front right now, could be significant. And when you look back as well, the fastest swim, bike and run, Beaugrand took the fastest swim, so there's 4 points for crown racing. And Woff and Taylor Brown were 2nd and 3rd in the fastest bike behind Taylor Spivey. Victoria Lopez did take the 2 points before she got eliminated, so that's 2 for crown racing. And Beth Potter was the 3rd fastest swim for Brownlee Racing, but they're not really figuring in the overall teams race at the moment. Confirmation of the short shoot allocation, bottom left of your screen. Jess Fulliger for Brownlee Racing, Kate Woff for Crown Racing, as the top 4 look to come out of the water for the last time, which means we have 5 laps on the bike and 2 laps on the run to finish. It is Taylor Brown on the right, it's Spivey on the left. Spivey without the short shoot. Cassandra Beaugrand swimming her heart out up to 8th position. In that run and swim is the pout that she likes it, but she loses it all again on the bike.
Here's a quick question.
Oh, a question.
So
okay.
if you're DQ'd, do you still gain or earn the points?
I think you gain the points that you earned up to that point.
Oh, I don't know. Let's get Tim Dunn on that one, right? Because I think he'd be on that one. Because I think if you're DQ'd, surely you can't take the points. I tell you what, Tim Dunn from Podium Racing does not miss a trick.
All right, well, we haven't had any official confirmation from the race director or the extensive instant replay team. We'll be looking through the vision to see if that did indeed occur.
Emma Lombardi just coming out 4th place in Paris for the young athlete. What a great first Olympics she had. Coming out of 5th place, 16 seconds down. And Leonie Perriot just behind her. Potter is there as well. Cassandra Beaugrand just made her way out the water. We can see there putting her white helmet on.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Beaugrand because the top 3 of, if you compete in all 4 rounds before the grand final, your top 3 results count. And she's had 2 seconds and an 8th, and she's currently sitting in 8th. So she needs to improve if she's going to close the gap at all on Taylor Brown, or at least limit the damage on Taylor Brown, because Taylor Brown can only pick up 1 extra point because she's already had 2 wins. So if she picks up 3 wins, she's on a perfect 45 of 45. Beaugrand needs to move up somewhere to try and take the point gap between them down somewhat, which at the moment sits at 8 points. Spivey, meanwhile, is making hay at the front. She's off the front. She knows that she needs a big bike if she's going to hold them off on the run. Then the group of 3 with Fulliger in the middle, who has hung in there and knows she has a short shoot. But it's good to see Taylor Spivey, one of only 6 athletes who've done all 6 supertri seasons, at the front. Taylor Brown's another one, actually. She doesn't spend a lot of time off the front, but she's always in the top 5.
Spivey, what an athlete she is. She is just so consistent, isn't she? She's not like a Cassandra Beaugrand that can be right at the top or right down at the bottom. She's always there or thereabouts, but I do know she gets pretty frustrated with finishing 4th. She's had 2 4ths so far this year and a 3rd, deciding to just ride off the front, seeing if she can get a little bit of a gap going out onto the run, because she knows against Georgia Taylor Brown, perhaps Woff as well, she's a slightly weaker runner. I think Fulliger, you know, her run is improving all the time, but she will be the weaker runner out of these 4. Emma Lombardi just behind as well, certainly not giving up on a podium finish. Let's have a look where the French athlete is now. She's riding alone, but she is in 5th place. There we go, 12 seconds down now, just separates, well, to the back of Taylor Brown. It's 8 seconds, so Lombardi riding really well. She's decided to drop her teammate, or rather not teammate here, but her French teammate. She's dropped her and has pulled away and got 6 seconds over Leonie Perriot.
Yeah, she's done well there, Emma Lombardi, and she could get bigger in this one because, as we said, we got 2 laps on the run. She's going to have to really push it on her own, though, to be able to make back any more time. Perriot at 18, Potter at 28 now, and Beaugrand has brought that gap down from about 45 seconds 10 minutes ago to now 30 seconds, but now she's back on the bike where she's been losing 20-ish seconds per stage. So they've bridged back up to Spivey as they head down through turn 8 and 9 and under the bridge. And we're going to go back down to Adam Leach, who's got Parker Spencer, who'll be very happy seeing his Stars and Stripes in the lead here.
Parker, what a race here from Taylor Spivey. She's absolutely smashing this. Do you think she's in the form to get the win at the end of this?
I think she can make it happen today. It's going to be hard because we don't have a short shoot for me to give to her. But right now she's off the front, having the best race of the series so far. I think she can get it done.
There you go. I think the short shoot here is not a huge advantage. We've seen bigger advantages in short shoots in the past, but it is a mental advantage more than anything.
Definitely a mental advantage, but you are right. I think they take the short shoot on a little downhill section, so you don't get so much of an advantage. Just looking at Lombardi now, 10 seconds down, 15 seconds. She might do herself a favour in waiting for Perriot so they can actually work together, but I think perhaps feeling a little bit stronger and deciding that it's quicker to do it on her own. That's for sure. Potter sitting in 8th place, 27 seconds down.
I don't think she can afford to lose the 5 seconds, Lombardi, to wait for Perriot to come back up. I think she needs to go. And Beaugrand as well has gone to 26 seconds. So she's actually, I don't know what's happened, but apparently she's got the lead out on the third bike and she's taking time out of the leaders now. She's been leaking time, and now she's taken 4 seconds on the last lap, Beaugrand.
I think she's one of the most talented athletes I know, but she's also one of the most complex athletes I know. So I think she came into this race just a little bit stressed, looking at the body language. She didn't look altogether happy. Obviously, there was a big demand on her from all the fans here, and a lot of stuff yesterday going on with the presentation and stuff. But many of the athletes can just put that behind them and crack on with the racing. But I think that perhaps Beaugrand just a little bit shaken, a little bit nervous about racing here on home soil, and the expectation that sits on her shoulders.
It'll be really interesting to see the splits as they come up, to see if Beaugrand is continuing to take a little bit more time, because we've seen her run 10 seconds a lap out of the field if she is in the mood for it. Lombardi, top of screen, is all by herself and trying to catch these 4 who've got 2 laps left on this bike as they head uphill once again. The crowd's building and building on what's a beautiful day here in the Pink City, and they are enjoying this battle at the front. 2 of these athletes with a short shoot in the back pocket, 2 of them without, all of them looking to win here in front of 40,000.
Let's not forget, 2 laps on the run this time round, isn't it? So if you've been watching, you've seen 1 lap on the run, but for the final lap, or the final round of swim, bike, run, it's actually 2 laps. So that's going to be tough for Jess Fulliger, it really is. Potter now, she's just fallen down. She's been caught up by Beaugrand, who sits 29 seconds down.
The 2 at the front in the red. Then the Brownlee Racing kit of Jess Fulliger, and then Spivey, who's been sitting in 4th for much of the bike. She led off the front a little bit there, and now she's sitting in. Saw her sit up and take a drink, and she knows she's got a big run against some of the quickest runners in triathlon. We can confirm that the Cassandra Beaugrand allegation from Tim Don is under review at the moment, so we don't have any more information to give you than that. So as it stands, she is in this race and 29 seconds in arrears with Beth Potter and behind Leonie Perriot. So some quality runners in the back of the field. There is Beaugrand, who's sitting behind Potter and knowing she's going to have the mother of all runs to be able to get back up into this. Katie Zafiris in her last race is in a dalliance with the elimination flag at 1:18, so we're all backing Katie to avoid seeing the red flag from Michael Thompson. Kathy Ashar also in 13th position from Switzerland from Crown Racing. She's 1:28 back, so she'll need to sneak in under the 90 seconds if she can, but the winner looking to come from these 4.
Oh, yeah, a little mention Katie Zafiris. She was the 2018-2019 supertri series winner. She won the bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympics, along with the silver medal in the team relay. She was a world champion on the World Triathlon Championship Series. She also finished 2nd and 3rd in the previous years. I mean, what a talent, what an absolute legend of this sport. And I think we're grateful for her to be here at Supertri and riding out her last race ever as a pro triathlete.
Confirmation, you were right, Annie, and it pains me to say it, but if you are disqualified, all your points are voided and all the athletes below you move up. So that would mean Victoria Lopez would move into the 4 points position for the swim. But of course, Cassandra Beaugrand's still in this and 34 seconds back. So now she's lost 8 seconds in the last lap and a half. So she had a little, maybe there was a slowing at the front, or she had a little spurt of energy, or had a good little run through half a lap. But now she is back at 34 seconds, just behind Potter. Perriot 6th. The short shoots for Fulliger and Woff, and nothing between these 4, as there hasn't been, as we head towards the 50-minute mark of this fast and furious racing. And they're going to be out and into transition for the last time, which means we've got a 2-kilometre run to decide who wins here in Toulouse. What a beautiful shot that is of the Garonne as they head down the Promenade Henri Martin on another beautiful day, and it's been a wonderful weekend here in Toulouse, and we're starting to see some eliminations or someone stop. That's Kathia Shah, who, as I said, was getting very close. But, you know, thank you so much to the region Occitanie, Toulouse Metropole, and all of the groups and teams that have come together to put on this fantastic race again. And Fulliger leads out from the trio of Spivey, Woff and Taylor Brown. And if anyone looked like they were under a bit of a pressure there, it was Woff.
Taylor Brown's, I don't think she'll mind us saying, her transitions have been pretty average. I'm only going to give her about a 4 out of 10 for her transitions today. They just seem a little bit slow and a little bit fiddly as Fulliger makes her way up this hill. She'll have to do it one more time. And I tell you what, it doesn't look much, but it's a tough hill, particularly after what they've gone through already. Lombardi, 15 seconds down. She has the run potential, I believe, to pull back some time, potentially on Fulliger on the second lap. But let's just see how she goes.
That's right, Fulliger knows she needs to start fast. Taylor Brown has bridged up to her, and then it's Woff and Spivey. Now, Spivey's just looking at a podium in front of her, as she's done so many times before, and thinking, how do I get myself a step on that podium? Crowds absolutely going nuts down here and looking down, looking for who is next, and it is just fresh air at the moment between these four. But 2 horses in the race does Chris McCormack have. Let's see what he has to say.
Chris, I can see how tense you are here. It looks like it could be a red on red battle for the win. Where's your money going at the moment?
It's a tough one, always picking a short shoot when you've got 2 people in the front. At the front, I think Georgia looks like she's on. She got through that first race without the wetsuit, and she's going to like the longer lap. I just want to see Kate's confidence come up. So if she gets the short shoot, she puts herself in second, and she has to hold off Taylor Spivey, which is no easy task. So it'd be nice to get 1-2, but let's not count our chickens before they hatch.
We'll see, as even as Chris McCormack was talking, Taylor Brown,
she's shaking her hand.
I don't know what she's talking about, what the problem is, but she's running down. She's wondering, does she know that she has the, or doesn't have the short shoot? Because she doesn't have the short shoot, so if she's unaware that she doesn't have it, and she takes it, that's going to be a big issue. We're going to find out in about 3 seconds. She needs to not turn to the left. No, turn to the right. Oh, good decision, Taylor Brown. That was the right thing to do. That was very close, though, and it is Woff and Fulliger that take it. Spivey around the outside, and she tacks on in 3rd position. It's like watching Formula 1 cars come out of the pits. And who ends up in front? But hearts are in the mouths there.
Oh, I've got goosebumps thinking if she'd have taken the short shoot, she would have been DQ'd, and I couldn't have handled that. I really couldn't. I know she would have seen her teammate Kate Woff taking it, and she would have known that Chris McCormack has given it to Kate Woff. She did indeed win the short shoot, but it hasn't made an awful lot of difference. What it has meant is that Fulliger has now dropped back into 4th, although she did have a short shoot. Emma Lombardi running fast behind in 5th, so Jess Fulliger is going to have to keep her foot on the gas if she's going to stay away from the athlete that finished 4th in the Paris Olympics. But Lombardi is running hard on home soil, and she's not going to settle for 5th.
All right, 1 lap to go, and asking Chris McCormack, do I have the short shoot? And he's like, absolutely not. Please continue as you're going. And she is going very, very well, considering she doesn't have it, and swerved towards it and has still got the field. So Taylor Brown's got the run, you think. And Spivey has moved from 3rd now into 2nd. Woff is starting to lag behind. Fulliger's dropped off the back as well. She's got the short shoot once again, but I don't think it's going to matter. And it's going to be potentially 2 crown racing athletes. And I can tell you there's no one from podium anywhere at the moment. So they are going to fall right back.
I don't know why Georgia Taylor Brown is so worried about the short shoot here. As we said, for some races it's really important, but in this particular race, as she's the strongest runner, we can see now, we can't even see the other athletes, just seeing Spivey now come around the corner. She doesn't need the short shoot, so just focus on the race. But there was some confusion there, so hopefully we will find out in her post-race interview, and let's just keep our fingers crossed and hope she doesn't take the short shoot on the last lap here in Toulouse of this race. The athletes have swum, bite, run, swum, bite, run, and swum, bite, run, and they're just finishing off with a 2K run. This is a tough run, and Georgia Taylor Brown glancing over her shoulder, and then Kate Woff doing the same. That's never a good sign, so I'm not quite sure what they're worried about here, because they do have a decent lead. Lombardi is a great runner, but she's not going to pull that back now.
Well, Beaugrand will improve a little bit in terms of her gap to Georgia Taylor-Brown. Taylor-Brown will pick up only 1 point from growing 3 wins in a row, if that does indeed happen, and Taylor Spivey will close that gap as well. So it will be all to play for in Neon, but Georgia Taylor-Brown has once again proved her class, and unfortunately Miriam Casillas has seen the elimination flag as she gets the hug from Jean Lahair, and disappointment for both of those, the French, well now Luxembourg and then Spanish athlete. As Casillas comes in, and I'm hearing that Katie Zafiris has seen the elimination flag as well. As you can see, some of the male athletes coming out and getting ready for this one, but it's all Georgia Taylor-Brown's to lose now. She has a look behind, sees Taylor Spivey, who'll pick up one of her best results, and she manages to sneak past the short shoot without taking it again this time, and she's not going to need it. Georgia Taylor-Brown has been elite over the past few weeks of supertri racing, and Woff with the short shoot won't be able to overtake Spivey, but maybe take a second or 2 or 3 out of her. But Spivey's having a great race, and Lombardi could take Fulliger too at the back, and Beaugrand is behind the pair of them. And Chris McCormack with the fist in the air, and why not? Georgia Taylor-Brown is coming down the promenade on that long run into and onto the black carpet for the very last time. Taylor Spivey is looking to split the athletes, but McCormack likes what he sees from his 2 charges in Taylor-Brown and Woff. Lombardi and Beaugrand are looking to steal that 4th positioning from Fulliger, and I think Lombardi will go past her, and I think Beaugrand will do the same, but it won't matter. It'll be Taylor-Brown. No one has won 3 races in a row since Vincent Lewis, and now Taylor-Brown will take another one. She won in Chicago, London, and now Toulouse. Taylor-Brown is your winner. Taylor Spivey gets that 2nd place and closes the gap, and Kate Woff, last year's winner, gets the podium she needs after the last few races. Beaugrand ends up in 4th with a huge run from Fulliger, who holds off Lombardi. What a race here in Toulouse.
Wow, Leonie Perriot as well coming down the home straight. She'll take a few very necessary points for podium racing, but it has been a phenomenal day so far for Crown, and they're looking pretty invincible in the series overall lead as Potter makes her way down the black carpet now to come home in 8th place.
Well, when you talk about the very best of the best, you really put Georgia Taylor-Brown's name out there. She's won multiple Olympic medals. She's a former world champion. She's won this series a couple of times, and she is right in the box seat with 3 wins and a 2nd place from 4 races. And a hug there between the American teammates. Taylor Spivey will be happy finishing 2nd, and Katie Zafiris, who has just run her last race as a professional athlete after 11 years at the top of the game.
Coming home, yep, in 9th place. She's gone 10th, 10th, 9th, 9th. So hung on well there to take some valuable points for Brownlee Racing as Fanny Salai comes home in 10th place, and another finish for the 16-year-old from Hungary racing for podium racing.
Yeah, another finish, but another top 10 finish. Yeah. Which, you know, when you look at the names in front of her, you just think, well, that, you know, she's got a future if she can manage it well, which I'm sure she will. And Fulliger having her best race of the season. She's finished 6th a couple of times, but I guess the sheets will say she finished 5th, but she was a real protagonist in this one, and that's what you like to see. But the bodies are on the floor, as they usually are after this one, and the fans are enjoying watching it. And we see again Taylor-Brown, who has swept all before her in 2024, and she is with Adam Leach down on the black carpet, and yet another interview, yet another win, and we'll head over to Adam.
Georgia, congratulations. What a race, and 3 wins in a row in supertri. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it feels nice after my first win in Chicago. I was kind of like, okay, I just need 1 more win now and I'm secure. And then after that win, I'm like, okay, how about 1 more win? So, yeah, I mean, when you're at the top and you're winning, you definitely want more. So 3 wins now going into the final in Neon. So, yeah, I feel happy and I feel quite safe.
Just quickly tell us a little bit how that race played out for you.
Oh, well, we were all and ahhing at the start whether to go wetsuit or not, and I thought, you know what, I told myself non-wetsuit, I'm sticking to what I want to do and not getting pulled into what everyone else is doing. I knew it was going to be cold, I knew I was going to lose time, but I thought just keep calm and you can bring yourself back, and if I had to, push harder, get me warmer, and yeah, managed to be in the race, so no, I'm happy with that.
Well, congratulations, Georgia. A fantastic result to take to Neil. Well done.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Some discussion here and a confirmation that with that 4th position, she was going to move up in the standings, but Cassandra Beaugrand has been disqualified. Her championship run has taken a huge, huge battering, and you can see how upset she is about it, along with her manager as well.
Taylor, 2nd place here in Toulouse, an absolutely epic race. You must be over the moon with that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I tend to get 4th a lot, so coming away with a podium was really special, especially because last week I raced my first middle distance race and I wasn't sure how I'd pull up, but I know everyone here pretty much raced last weekend as well, whether like in way high, so luckily, you know, I was able to pull together a podium.
Congratulations, Taylor, well done. Hey, Kate. You look a bit shot there. Was that a hard one for you?
Yeah, I mean, the water temperature was definitely the biggest shock. I felt so cold, especially on the run. It was hard to get my limbs moving, but yeah, I'm so happy to be on the podium. I had a really good experience last year, so nice to be back.
Well, congratulations, Kate. Well done.
Thank you, and thank you all for the support. Thanks.
So a couple of podium spots for Crown Racing. They're really going to cash in on the team's points, and it does hurt, though, that Beaugrand will forfeit her points. As she says, 4th on the leaderboard there, but things have changed. So Jess Fulliger moves up into 4th position, Emma Lombardi into 5th, Perio into 6th, and Beth Potter into 7th. But they were all behind Georgia Taylor-Brown. And a great effort as well from Spivey, who will end up narrowing the gap to Taylor-Brown in the championship series because she had more improvements to make than Taylor-Brown did. And Woff rounds out our podium.
Katie, I can see you're struggling to hold the tears back here. It's the end of an era, the end of your professional racing career. Just sum up how you're feeling right now.
Just grateful. Triathlon, specifically being a professional triathlete and going after all these dreams with this community, it's just shaped me a lot, and I'm just so thankful for so many different moments on and off the course. And yeah, I'm just really, my cup is completely full right now.
Well, that's fantastic. And just a little word on this last race and this last hurrah. How did it actually feel out there, knowing that this was it?
I wanted to make it farther than I've made so far this season. I was a little upset they didn't just let me finish my 2nd lap, but no, it was nice to like be in the race and just take it all in. And this atmosphere in Toulouse is incredible, and it's the perfect send-off. And yeah, I'm really glad I was here. I'm really glad I came to race, and I'm really glad I've been a part of this from nearly the beginning.
Well, congratulations, Katie, on an amazing legacy. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Well, high emotions on all ends of the spectrum from our female athletes, and even as we say that, our male athletes are ready to get going. And there is Johnny Brownlee, and he had a little crash already today, and we're going to see that a little bit later on, but he says he's going to be okay. His right knee was a little shaky. He hasn't raced so far this season, so he is back to join some athletes like Sergio Baxter in the Brownlee racing team. Jack Willis gets a run as well, and Hayden Wild is going for his 3rd win in a row. He's just seen his Crown teammate Georgia Taylor-Brown do the job, and now the Falcon has to fly.
Yeah, it's difficult to bet against him. I mean, what an athlete, what a super tri athlete he is, really. And he loves his course. He'll want to make amends for last year when he went to go out on a 5th lap that he didn't need. This year, thankfully,
this time it is 5 laps.
This year, it is 5 laps.
He'll be ready.
So I think my money's on Wild. But listen, this is super tri racing. Anything could happen. And I'd love to see Johnny Brownlee do something special. But as you said, he hasn't raced, and I think that's going to make it tough for him. I really do.
Yeah, he had a good race here last year, though. All right, the crowd has just recovered from what was a race of high drama, especially at the end. Daurade elevated herself into fourth with a great run, only to be disqualified. Katie Zafiris said goodbye to 11 years of professional racing, and Georgia Taylor-Brown dominated at the front, as she so often does. The athletes head out onto the black carpet once more. Crown with the double. Spivey gets the second step.
Le champagne sera remis par Julie Faramond, adjointe au sport et la ville de Toulouse. À la troisième place.
The crowd enjoying all of this as they welcome, first of all, in third position, the winner last year, a favourite here already, and the reigning champion, Kate Woff. And she'll be happy with that. She will improve in the standings, obviously, because she's had a mixed bag with third in Boston and then 11th and 8th in Chicago and London. So back on the podium, which is important. Taylor Spivey will also improve. Fourth, third and fourth, and she adds a second place. So moving in the right direction for the American veteran. But a class above, especially on the run in the end, and was very, very strong across the racing. Georgia Taylor-Brown is again the winner after wins in Chicago and London as well. The champagne comes out. And the weather absolutely perfect after what was a pretty wet start of the day. Wet and cold in Toulouse, but the sun has come out and both the athletes and the fans are enjoying every minute of this one. The best short course racing in the world, and for me, the best triathlon racing in the world. Definitely the most entertaining, and where else would you rather be, especially if you're a Bahrain Victorious Crown Racing fan, as the champagne sprays. And Taylor-Brown gets a bath, and it's been a real celebration here in Toulouse, and the French team especially have been giving back to the community with hospital visits, clinics, schools and fan zones.
We are racing this weekend in Toulouse, and we are helping the community while we are here, and we are going to see some kids at the hospital.
Well, I hope we'll give them some smile.
To be fair, we don't feel like we are someone very important next to all the doctors and all the people working here. So I think they need like people to clap them more than they clap us, actually. So yeah, it was nice to see them and say thank you for everything they are doing as well.
It was nice to meet all the people who are, all the doctors, the nurses and stuff who are helping.
We visited one patient. I think we were all impressed, him and us. We were also impressed. That's something great to see.
We are very lucky to have all these international athletes here. It's amazing for us.
The Olympic Games in Paris was very important for us. It was a real success.
They were in Paris in August, and now they are in with us, so it's so great.
I'm quite impressed by how the kids were really going full gas on the duathlon and really enjoying it, actually. It's great to see young people passionate about sports, about the outdoors as well. I think we will have a great atmosphere on race day.
I am very happy to be here. The city is very amazing, the people is very amazing. This is very special for us.
We really feel the support even more since the Olympics, and yeah, I can't wait to race in this beautiful city after last year especially. I think it will be a good weekend for the French.
It's been a real week of celebration and of giving back to the community here in Toulouse, as it always is, the community embracing this fantastic racing, and we've enjoyed every single minute of it. And now we get to enjoy the men's racing, and this is what happened last time out in London. It is time to get the men's race underway here in London. 2 Stars and Stripes and 2 Crown Racing athletes at the front. And Hayden Wild has put the hammer down. Wild will pick up the short shoot. Berger's popped up like he does.
This is his domain, it really is.
Off the bike and into transition. That's podium racing 1, 2 and 3.
And this would be interesting.
The short shoot's been taken. Hayden Wild goes into the lead. Hayden Wild will pick up another one. He did it in 2021, he did it in 2022, and he does it in 2024. Hayden Wild takes his 2nd win in a row, and could he make it 3? That is the question. He's in the exact same position as Georgia Taylor-Brown. 2nd, 1st. Taylor-Brown added another win. Matt Hauser, who is looking for a breakthrough here and to take another win, is 9 points in arrears, and Vincent Lewis is back in the top 3. But look out for Leo Berger, big win here last year, and he can make real inroads in the overall. Now, it's been a real interesting time for Johnny Brownlee, who in warm-up this morning came down when he hit that piece of black tape. He was in the medical tent for about 10 or 15 minutes and no one else was allowed in. When he came out, the smattering of crowd was a big round of applause. He'd hurt his right knee. He went out and did 3 or 4 laps on the bike, Annie, but then he stopped. So we're waiting to see whether or not he is 100%. He wasn't going to miss this one, though, because he's missed the rest of the season, and he's racing for his own team for the first time as well. And he's facing what is a very, very deep start list, as it always is. Let's take a look at it right now. For Crown Racing, Wild is in command. Lewis is in 3rd position. Max Stapley, look out for him in the swim. And Bettler Thorne's been very, very consistent. Podium Racing, led by Berger and Hauser. But, well, you've got the 2023 World Champion Dorian Connex. And a podium getter here a couple of years ago, Kenji Nina. Pierre Lecour comes in for Stars and Stripes Racing. And Jack Willis, after a great race last week in China, is part of Brownlee Racing. So, now, a reminder of the format. If you are just joining us, you've missed a cracking race in the women's, but the crowd's sticking around. Let's have a look back at how the format plays out.
The progress bar at the bottom of the screen will help you navigate the racing. Essentially, it's 3 triathlons back-to-back, starting with a super fast 300-metre swim, 5 1-kilometre bike laps and a 1-kilometre run. The winner of each of these disciplines will earn a short shoot for their team. The short shoot is a shortcut that can be taken in the 3rd run. As the racing unfolds during the 2nd swim, bike and run, the managers consider which of their athletes deserves an advantage in the final stage. They reveal their decisions in the 3rd swim. You'll see the short shoot logo appear next to the lucky athletes' names in the sidebar when they're on the bikes for the last time. Here in Toulouse, the athletes have to complete 2 laps for the 3rd run just to finish them off. If they're lucky enough to have a short shoot, they can use it on both laps. It might just win them the race.
Okay, we're getting ready, and again we see a split of wetsuits and non-wetsuits, although with the slightly warmer weather than it was 90-odd minutes ago, there are more athletes without the wetsuit on. Hayden Wild, who's traditionally not the fastest swimmer out there, he's got the wetsuit on, and fair enough, so could be a really interesting one. This one, as confirmation of, well, preliminary confirmation of the women's points, sees Taylor-Brown sits 6 points clear of Taylor Spivey as they head into Neon, and Bogram with a disqualification goes from 2nd down to 4th. As I said, Lecour comes in after 4th place twice in Paris to the Stars and Stripes team, so he's an honorary American, as is Tim Hellwig. Chase McQueen and Vasco Velasa, so a strong one. And Tim Hellwig has been excellent in his debut season, there's no doubt about that. You know what, Annie, I'm going to let you take the next team. What do you think? Well, run us through it.
Well, let's have a look at Crown Racing. Max Stately, expect to see him in the swim. He is absolutely amazing. Hayden Wild, I am not betting against him. Could he make it 3 in a row here in Toulouse? Vincent Louis, would love to see him do something really special, sitting in 3rd place at the moment. And Vettel Thorne, I think, will go really well on the bike.
Let's hear from Hayden.
Yeah, I'd like to get a victory here in Toulouse. You know, I want to amend what happened last year and come back for a win. And you know, I'm in a really fortunate place where if I do have a bad race, or if I do make a mistake, it won't cost me too much. You know, I've got my 3 races that leads into Neon for the 4th.
Well, you're a great biker, and it's quite bike heavy because it's 5 laps per stage. So that's going to play into your hands, surely.
Yeah, no, I love it. 5 laps this time instead of 4 laps. I think I read into the future when I was trying to do 5 laps last year. So now it's going to be more exciting. Obviously, the run's a little bit shorter, so obviously sometimes the run goes into my favour. But hey, five laps on the bike is going to make it really exciting. And with potential rain coming in the morning, it could make it a little bit slippery out there. So that's also a factor.
And just tell me, who do you think is going to be your biggest threat here in Toulouse? No Alex Yee, of course, but the French are going to be strong on home soil, aren't they?
Yeah, they always are, and Leo's really, he's really consistent, and he's always, him and I went toe-to-toe here last year, so I'm looking out for Leo, Lacour and Daurade.
Great stuff, good luck.
Hayden Wild pegging all the Frenchmen as the big threats, but Jonathan Brownlee is there as well. Jack Willis comes in for the Brownlee team. The next on the, the Brit-Tri production line after a great breakaway bike in a 9th position at way high in the World Triathlon Championship Series last weekend. Sergio Baxter is there as well, as is Connor Bentley. And the man, it's so good to see the face of Johnny Brownlee leading Brownlee Racing underneath Non Stanford as well, though I can imagine that Non gets to tell Johnny what to do. Well, we'll find out. He's the team manager. Speaking of team managers, Tim Don leads this team as well. Leo Bergier and Matt Hauser both figuring right up the pointy end of races. Dorian Connick's the 2023 world champion, and Kenji Nina has seen the podium here as well, and he is such a great aggressive racer as well. Tim Don has a lot of work to do, though, after the women's race for podium racing in the team's race. He is right now with Adam Leach.
Tim, your podium men here look so strong. You've got the winners of the last 2 editions of this Toulouse race. What are you expecting from them today?
I want them to commit. We've really talked about taking the opportunity, racing aggressively and owning the bike course. With that extra lap, with Leo's skill, and as you said, Dorian's won, Kinji's a daredevil on the bike. We've got a great chance to get some points. With Jean's flat tyre, we really need to score heavy here.
Yeah, such a disappointment for your women, Tim. Are the men feeling the pressure, do you think? Because they know they need to really deliver to keep you close to crown.
I think they are feeling the pressure, but I think since Leo's got that bronze medal around his neck, it's kind of almost like it's relief. He knows he can do it on the big stage. He's been racing really well since France and the Olympic Games, so they know how to race this course. So I think they're going to commit early on, and we're just going to go all in.
I just have to ask you really, really quickly, Tim, about this crowd. It's absolutely nuts.
It is fantastic. I mean, this is what live sport's about. It's about people watching the best in the world in a theatre of dreams.
Best in the world in a theatre of dreams as they line up for the men's race. A mixture of wetsuit and non-wetsuit again. All the Brownlee athletes with no wetsuit on, and just one Stars and Stripes athlete on the right-hand side of your screen. So it is set up beautifully, this wonderful course, thanks to Marie de Toulouse, Toulouse Métropole, and the region Occitanie. We are able to put on such a fantastic race in such an iconic location as the Pink City, Toulouse, in the south of France. Such a joy to come here every year. And there is Jonathan Brownlee on the right of your screen right now. Let's get it underway. The men's race, round 4 from Supertri 2024. Again, a couple of slight hesitations and a little groan from Annie Emerson. What was that?
I'm not sure who the 4th athlete in from the left-hand side was. Brownlee Racing was really slow off the start. It's so interesting to see the tactics here. So there's one Stars and Stripe Racing athlete. I'm going to guess it's Chase McQueen, possibly Pierre Lacour, who 2 really, really strong swimmers who've opted, we'll find out who it is shortly, who've opted not to wear the wetsuit. And it's only the Brownlee team that have decided not to wear a wetsuit. If I was the manager, I'm not sure that's the way I would have called it, but let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah, we will wait and see. Now, confirmation at the bottom of your screen if you're joining us. There is 8 transitions in this triathlon and 9 legs. Swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. The short shoot is the little SC logo you can see is won on the opening swim, bike and run by the athlete first over the mountain line after the opening swim and bike and over the dismount line, because they don't cross the mountain line on the run. And that earns the athlete that is from the team that is told by the manager that they have it a little shortcut for the last 2 laps of the final run. You can see there before the checkered flag comes, and it did not help one bit with Georgia Taylor-Brown in such high quality form running away without the short shoot. She nearly took it by accident, but she didn't, and everything was fine. And we moved on. So here we are at the first buoy as they head upstream now. They only have to go a little way upstream before they make the turn for home, but still fighting against that current.
And really no surprise to see the back athletes are the ones without the wetsuits on there. Listen, I think you can save some time in transition, a lot of time, but do you want to be under that sort of pressure? We will hopefully see shortly who's in the lead, but I think we should be looking out for Dorian Connix racing for Podium Racing and Leo Berger, two of the strongest swimmers in this race today.
Well, it looks like our Podium Racing athletes are out the front as it stands at the moment in the white caps, and then you've got a red cap there of, I think, Max Stapley, who's sitting in 4th position for Crown Racing. But it is quite strung out in this one, so with the short shoot and swim points on offer, Crown need to go out, and they need to go out hard. Podium need to go out hard, and they've got Berger, Connix and Hauser, so why not? And it looks like Hauser at the front, who's got that nice long stroke like we saw from Cassandra Beaugrand, but then behind them it is a fight between, I think, Connix, Berger and Stapley, but we're going to get confirmation as they come out of the water. Tough to see when they've got the wetsuits on, but it does look like Hauser off the front. So 300 metres in the swim, and then they'll head out on the first of 5 laps on the bike, which makes it a little bit more of a bike-heavy race, so you need to be very strong technically on the bike to figure in this one, and we've seen that from our athletes, and maybe the pressure put on Beaugrand by not being the most technically proficient caused her to make that little error that got her disqualified about 20 minutes ago in the women's race.
Just looking at this lead swimmer who we believe is Matt Hauser. We'll find out right away as he's about to exit the water. But what a brilliantly smooth executed swim. Let's have a little look. That is Hauser, isn't it? We can see him coming out of the water now, followed by Max Stapley, who is there in 2nd place, racing for Crown Racing as well. Le Berger, Dorian Connix
no,
just
it's not.
coming.
We're completely wrong. It's Chase McQueen. I've gone with a white cap because it was from Podium Racing, but it's not, from Stars and Stripes. So it's in fact Hellwig. There's Lewis. There's LaCour, and it was McQueen. So McQueen didn't actually have the wetsuit on. They all come rocketing in. There is Hauser amongst that group. Betla Thorne as well. But Stars and Stripes are going to pick up the short shoot, and they're going to go through Chase McQueen, who've been calling Matt Hauser for the last 30 seconds.
A great swim from Jack Willis, for Brownlee Racing, who didn't wear the wetsuit, who leaves transition in 2nd place. Louise in 3rd. That's a great start for Jack Willis, who's standing in today for
Hugo Milner.
Hugo Milner, who isn't racing today. So Jack Willis is standing in. Hugo Milner has raced twice. Wild right at the back there, as is Hauser. 12 seconds down. Johnny Brownlee.
That's a very poor swim from Matt Hauser. He is one of our swim protagonists usually in the fight for the points. So I'm not sure what's happened to Matt Hauser there. He may have been the man without the wetsuit.
Well, Valaza, I think, was the other athlete without the wetsuit. Well, Chase McQueen there led the swim out. Beautiful relaxed stroke. Jack Willis there for Brownlee Racing, standing in for Hugo Milner this weekend as well, having a great start to his Super Tri campaign. First race for Jack Willis this season, and Vincent Louis as well away there. He's the only other athlete that's had 3 consecutive wins in Super Tri Racing, and his girlfriend, Georgia Taylor-Brown, has just equalled that today.
That's right. Anything you can do, I can do better over the dinner table, no doubt. But so Lewis, I mean, he did that when we were having 2 races in a weekend, so probably even more impressive, without taking any credit away from Lewis, that over 3 separate race weekends you can pick up 3 wins in a row, and of course the 2nd placing in our debut event in Boston. But we have 3 off the front, and it's good to see Lewis, the 2-time champion, in there. It's good to see McQueen deliver at least early doors on what is a ton of talent, and a Super Tri E world champion, but hasn't had the results this year that he probably would have liked. The pressure right on in the opening lap though, and Hayden Wild is just on the back of this pack here with Hauser as well, and Brownlee. And they've both overtaken this duo from Brownlee Racing on the back. That's Connor Bentley and Johnny Brownlee, who obviously isn't quite in the shape at the moment that he would like to be, having had a break away from racing and then a crash this morning in the course familiarisations.
Yeah, I think we need to add, he did come down pretty hard. He came down hard on the side of him, hip and knee, I think, in a lot of pain. So not the best start for his race here in Toulouse. So he finds himself a few seconds down, but it's not all over yet because it's all changing here now as this big group has come together, led by Le Berger.
Right, we head down now to Adam with Non-Stanford.
Interesting tactics from your Brownlee racing team. They all went in without a wetsuit, the only team to not do that. But it seems to have paid off because Jack Willis is right up the front here.
Yeah, it's definitely paid off for Jack. We've obviously got Connor and Johnny just off the back, but it was a 50-50 throw-up. Because we were on the outside, we decided they were already at a bit of a disadvantage, so why waste time trying to take their wetsuits off? Johnny went left straight away and managed to get in there, but just lost a few feet on the way back in. But overall, a successful start.
Yeah, Willis in there. Now, Willis is a guy who has really improved in recent times. He has been there or thereabouts in World Triathlon racing for a couple of years, but he had a top 10 at the World Cup in Calvary, and then he backed that up with a first top 10 in World Triathlon Championship racing. Last time out in Way High, but he was a protagonist in that race, and he did it off a really good bike breakaway. So he's obviously got plenty on the bike to give, and he's sitting there in 4th position at the moment. I'll tell you what we haven't seen, Annie Emerson. A crash.
Don't say that. Oh, well, I cannot believe you just said that. OK, if there's a crash, I'm blaming it all on you.
No, well, you shouldn't. You should blame it on the people that are involved in the crash. So you overestimate my influence on this race. But this time last year, this was a very difficult course, and it still is. But I just think that the athletes' bike handling skills have continued to improve. We saw a lot of mishaps last time around and changeable conditions to this, but still, these athletes are taking on this course admirably well, and there are plenty of spots where you can come a cropper. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, we noticed this morning in the warm-up time that a lot of the athletes went round and round and round, didn't they? So they're getting an idea of where the twists and turn, where the more technical side of the courses. And once they've done it a few times, they're going to pretty much nail it. There's no rain. It's dry. Touch wood. They should be safe if you haven't tempted fate. Well, Le Berger from Podium Racing, headed by Team Don, makes his way along the waterfront now, looking majestic. The winner here last year in Toulouse.
Two Frenchmen on the front, as you say, Berger, and then Lewis has moved past McQueen. Hayden Wild has moved up as we see him and track him into the uphill double turn in turns 1 and 2. Nina is in there as well behind him. McQueen's dropped a little bit back through transition from where he was early doors. Matt Hauser has halved his disadvantage from 12 seconds to 6. As there is 3-second gap back to LaCour and Bettler-Thorne. And Brownlee and Bentley are still stuck together 4 seconds in arrears.
What I love about this racing is there is absolutely no let up. You know, there are many triathlons that you can watch where the athletes can sit in and cruise. Here, the pace is on from start to finish. It really is, as Le Berger absolutely nails this course. He was the winner here last year after that controversial decision to DQ Hayden. Well, he didn't get DQ'd. He got a time penalty as he tried to go round for a 5th lap. So Le Berger, the winner here last year, the series winner in 2023, the bronze medalist from Paris Olympic Games, is looking good at in the first round of this race. It is 3 rounds of swim, bike, run. On the 3rd lap, though, the athletes will have to take the run course twice, and that makes it really tough, as we saw in the women's race, which took place about half an hour ago. The winner, of course, Georgia Taylor-Brown there, and a great race she had, making it 3 in a row, as Wild there spills out to the left-hand side. Kenji Nina looking a little bit shaky as he comes across the black carpet. Let's take a look now. Willis, who led out early on, is up there in 8th place. Sergio Baxter Cabrera, racing for Spain, rounds off this lead group at the moment. Let's take a look. Torn is up there. He's just 8 seconds down with LaCour, Brownlee and Bentley. LaCour, first time out racing this season. He's sitting in for Seth Ryder, who unfortunately had to sit out of this race due to a stress fracture at the last minute. So a group coming together now as the fans enjoy what is this
Incredible weekend of racing, and it's around this time that things start to settle down a little bit. Through the middle part of the bike, we're on the last lap now, and the groups come together somewhat as they start thinking about this opening run, and the initial 10-minute rush of panic through the first part of the race is over, and now it's about tactically, where do I sit? Do I need to be in the group? Wild's continuing to move up. Stapley's there or thereabouts as well. Those two for Crown Racing, and Berger's taking what's a little bit tougher on the front, but it's also the safest position to be in when you look at all the potential pitfalls around this course as they head along the promenade down the bottom for the last time. Very warm along this bit, and they get ready to come into transition once again.
Yeah, the temperature has definitely warmed up since this morning when it was a little bit chilly. Le Berger over the line first there, a big group come in, and we can see that chase group behind. They're going to work hard now because these athletes are going to go hard out of transition for their first run of 1 kilometre. It's a technical, tough run course, it really is, because it's straight out of transition and straight uphill.
Oh, a big sprint there, and I think it was Velasa who might have got the last short shoot. What is that sign in the hand of Thompson? I think it didn't look to me like it was the red of Crown. I think it is Velasa who managed to get one for Stars and Stripes, and they missed out last time. So that short shoot is decided, which means that it is both Stars and Stripes, which denies anyone else one. And now it's about who can come across the dismount line first. And Hauser looks sluggish up that hill. I'm not sure. I mean, he's a bigger athlete than the others. He doesn't look like he's having the day that he'd hoped to have, and Wild has moved his way to the front.
Hauser does blow a little bit hot and cold. He was really improving throughout this series. 7th in Boston, 4th in Chicago, and he got a second-place finish in London. Had a brilliant race there behind, finishing behind Wild. Is he just kind of warming into this? I'm not sure. You don't want to give the guys in front of you any time at all, and not looking to be the best day. Torn there, just coming into the picture. He will be alongside Connor Bentley. Hopefully Brownlee is in there too, but at the moment, Wild looking like he means business with Vincent Louis on his shoulder. Kenji Nena up there as well. He got his first podium in Toulouse last year when he finished third. Or was it 2 years ago?
Oh, it all just blends into one. Wild on the front. 3 Frenchmen in the top 6. Berger, Lewis, Nina, Velasa and Conix. The reigning world champion is in 6th position overall, ahead of Tim Helwig. Stapley's tacking on there, and then there's created a bit of a gap back there to Hauser and Baxter, who are struggling to stay with the pace of this group in the early running, and McQueen as well amongst them, and Connor Bentley. So Hauser going backwards. Let's hope that there's not a problem for the Australian. And Wild, meanwhile, looks very comfortable indeed in the early running. As he said, the run's usually an advantage for him. It's a little shorter than it usually is, at least in the first 2 stages, but he's no slouch on the bike either, as we know.
Look, he's pulled away. He's got his goggles on already. I don't know if that's a good move. Obviously, he's done this many times before. Are they going to get a little bit steamed up? He's just getting in preparation, and it's always interesting to watch the athletes put their swimming gear on as they are in the midst of the 1 kilometre run here. Many of them running a sub-3. Just seeing Johnny Brownlee there off the pace. I think we can forgive him for that. It's been a tough year with injuries. He hasn't raced since the beginning of June, and of course had that crash in the familiarisation here this morning in Toulouse, but he's still in the race, so anything can happen.
Yeah, we see him right at the back there, and Chris McCormack is enjoying things at the front as Aidan Wild, the Falcon, swoops onto the black carpet ahead of the swim, and he likes to position himself in the front of the swim if he possibly can. He's not the strongest swimmer, and of course it's Wild then that picks up the final short shoot, and that's why McCormack was so happy. And that's very slippery around the top there. Lewis hits the ground, and Hauser did as well, as they hustle to come in. Thorne is a little slower off the mark, and they head into the water. So Wild ran his way into that final short shoot, just as Taylor Brown, Waff did in the women's. So we've had an update as well, and they've looked at the instant replay to see whether Velasa did in fact come across the line in the second short shoot off the back of the bike, and they've decided that in fact it was Leo Berger. So Podium Racing has picked up the second short shoot, and Crown Racing, as we know with Wild, has picked up the third, as Lewis and Wild out the front.
Well, this is interesting because there's a little train going on here of athletes, and I did notice Johnny Brownlee at the back there, 20 seconds down, but there's athletes then in 18 seconds, 12, 10. Are they all going to come back together again? He had Hauser just in front of him. I noticed going down into the water off that slope, the athletes are being a little bit cautious because it is slippery, and you want to get a good dive in to get a bit of an advantage as you start this 300-meter swim. But at the moment, that to me looks like Vincent Louis out in front.
Let's have a look quickly down at the bottom left of your screen. The provisional team standings as it stands after the women's race is Crown sitting on 290, so really pushing out in front of Podium Racing, Stars and Stripes. Well, Brownlee Racing has actually come up to Stars and Stripes a little bit. The gap was a little bit bigger than that, and a lot in thanks to Jess Fulliger, who had a fantastic race as well. You know, it's around the same as it was, wasn't it? Or actually not quite. Maybe it's actually pushed out a little bit for Stars and Stripes, but it's tight between third and fourth. The Crown Racing out at the front. And speaking of being at the front, that's Lewis, the 2018 and 2019 supertri champion, 2020 world champion and Olympic medalist, who is here leading at home in the second fatigued swim of supertri.
I've just noticed World got absolutely hammered coming around that buoy. He got a really good dunking there. He did. It's so much easier if you're out the front, as we can see Vincent Louis now having an absolutely magnificent swim here.
All right, we're going to go back down onto the black carpet, and Chris McCormack, who's with Adam.
Chris, a great start again for Crown here, and Vincent Louis right out the front here. Is this going to depend on his run?
Well, it's still early in the race, and I said to Vince this morning, he made me wear this hat, make my day, mate. And he's really doing that. He's risen to the occasion. He loves racing in France, and I think he's chasing a podium. But Hayden's very tough, Leo's very tough. It's early days, but he's on the front of the swim, so short shoot to give. Maybe it's Vince's, we'll see.
Oh, he's not willing to give it yet, though. He doesn't have to do that until, well into this race. We've got plenty to go before then, at least 3 more disciplines, and we know how quickly this racing can change.
He's looking impressive in this swim, isn't he? He's got a big gap. There's a Stars and Stripes athlete in the middle. Can't quite make out who that is, but there's a fairly big gap now between Vincent Louis and the main chasers.
That's a podium racing athlete, and we've made this mistake already because the white caps go to Stars and Stripes and the black caps go to podium racing. So I think that's probably, well, it could be Nina actually, or Bergier. I'd say it's probably Bergier at this point, but then there's a big group coming together behind them as Lewis comes out of the second swim. All right, the short shoots have been decided. It is Nina who comes out second, and followed then by the rest of the chasing pack. So Lewis leads at the moment. Kenji Nina, who's threatened to have a big race. He's been finishing 5th and 6th at the moment. He's sitting in 5th position overall. He finished 4th in London, had his best race after a 6th in Chicago. And now he's sitting in 2nd position. Onto the bike, 5 laps for the 2nd time. Lewis leads, taking us back to the future. Vettel Thorne has had some kind of swim to end up in 3rd position, ahead of Wild, with Conix chasing, Berger chasing, Velasa, LaCour, Tim Helwig, Chase McQueen comes across, Bentley as well. And still at the back, Hauser, and there is Brownlee with the Phoenix helmet. Stapley in there as well in the red, but Lewis off the front, and Nina wants to tag on the back of him here, and these two can work together, and the fans will be enjoying a Frenchman leading this one.
Well, Vincent Louis has really started to come back into some form. At 35 years of age, he has said, you know, maybe that's it, I've reached my peak, I can't get any better. But of course, last year, you know, he suffered a lot of injuries. He didn't make the team for Paris, and that was disappointing for him. But certainly in supertri, he's been building each performance, getting better and better. And he finished 5th on the World Triathlon Championship Series in Weihai just a couple of weeks ago on a really tough course. And he's really attacking this bike course here now with Kenji Nina. It would be great if Kenji could come through, pull a few turns, but they've got some pretty talented athletes that are going to be chasing them down. Dorian Conix is in there, Le Berger as well. The athletes all sort of came out of the swim together, but they do separate a bit on that first climb out of transition.
I reckon we'll be seeing the elbow from Vincent Louis in a second, saying, Kenji, it's time for you to have a crack. Let's work together. Let's push more time into this chasing pack. And Kenji's never shy of getting out there and putting in the hard work. He goes out even on the course familiarisations, everyone's having a slow ride around, and he's just out there just absolutely hammering zone 5 riding because he doesn't know any other way to do it. So he's a good partner to have as the cheers go up, and then Nina takes the inside line, and he's going to have a look, and they have a word to each other. So the two of them now working together. 9 seconds, the gap back to Wild. Connick's there as well. Velasa in the top 5, and it's a big group. Berger, Helvig, Thorne, McQueen, Willis, Baxter, Stapley, they're all in a huge group together. In fact, the entire field, led by Wild, is all 1 second behind each other, and they're all chasing these two. Now Wild's moved off the front after going up. He's obviously pushed through that hill, and it looks like he's got a little gap. So Tim Don will be happy. He said they needed big points, and they do need big points, and they need it from Kenji Nina to stay upright. Let's hear what Tim Don has to say.
Tim, what a race here from Kenji Nina. He's actually just snuck past Vincent Louis on the inside, and he's leading this race.
Yeah, you know, Kenji 2 years ago, he did a round totally off the front with a different format on this course. He likes it. He's a fantastic bike handler, and you could see the last race in London, he's just building his confidence. So he just needs to work with Vince, but yeah, he swam fantastic in that second swim.
He really did, and that's what you need to do. Second lap of 5, and these two, we'll see what the splits are. 9 seconds back to Hayden Wild. I'm going to predict, and I can't see it, but I think that we'll see Wild on the front coming in. Yep, he's got a little gap back to that chasing train, but it's not much, to be honest.
No, but what it's doing is breaking up this field. It really is. And what great riding from these two. And Tim Don there, we can see 7 seconds down now, 8 seconds to Berger. Big group of athletes there, but they are getting strung out now. No sighting of LaCour or Brownlee. McQueen's in there. We can see the group has broken up now. It kind of stops around about Thorne, and then Willis has dropped back 7 seconds on him. So there's a little lead group or lead chase group trying to pull back some time here. Wild 7 seconds down, but these two working really well together.
Yeah, there's kind of I guess a crown versus podium battle all the way down. At the front, it's Nina versus Lewis, and then further down, you've got Thorne up against Connick's, Wild up against Connick's as well. Sorry, Thorne up against Berger. So the two of them, like, there's kind of a red versus white battle going on at the moment all the way up and down the leaderboard, and all those points are very important for the big prize, which this year is a team's prize. There is individual prize money and obviously podiums as well. Let's see these two. 9 seconds it was after the first lap. 7 seconds they were ahead after the second lap. Let's see what happens in lap 3.
Well, they're down to 4 in that chase group. So kind of 6 off the front. If they can stay like this, I'm just having a look to see who the two back athletes there are. Vasco Velasa, we can see his helmet. That's very notable, sitting in that chase group. Let's have a look at the time difference now. Has it grown? It was 7 seconds in the last lap. It's grown by 1 second.
Well, not much to speak of, honestly. And Berger's at the front of that now with Velasa, but you can see sort of Berger versus Wild, and it's Thorne versus Connick's down there, and on the bottom it's Stapley and Hauser are battling in the red versus the white, and athletes like Velasa and Helwig are sticking in there in the top 6, making sure that Stars and Stripes stay ahead of Brownlee Racing, with Johnny Brownlee now leading the 4 Brownlee Racing athletes 8 seconds, or I think it was 8 or 10 seconds in arrears. So 3 short shoots for 3 teams. Brownlee Racing miss out on 1, and Nina continues to lead Lewis. Kenji's taking more of the turns at the front now, and Vince is playing the smart game and sitting back. We might see him on the straight here, start to take another turn at the front, but the gap's been pretty steady, Annie, between these two and the chasing pack, which is thinned out to 4.
Yeah, I mean, Kenji Nina, I have to say, I didn't realise how strong he was technically, but he's absolutely throwing himself into that little descent, and I think that's where they're pulling some time. But they're working really hard. I'm interested to see Wild choosing just to slightly sit in there. Leo Berger leading that chase group. The the nudge of the elbow there. Is that Vasco Velarza there that comes through to take a turn? I had him down as a possible podium finisher here. He's so strong on the bike. They look to pull back a second or two. Let's have a look at our time difference there. 7 seconds. They pull back a second, but it's sitting there or thereabouts. They're not really pulling anything back. They're not losing anything either.
Yeah, so, I mean, a team of 2 and a team of 4 in terms of working together is probably pretty commensurate in terms of how technical it is versus the kind of group you want and who can share it at the front, as Lewis this time takes the last lap of the second bike. So we're right in the middle of this race, and it's starting to really blow out now. 20 seconds between top and bottom, but gaps forming all the way through. And it's just great to see Vincent Lewis out the front of a race again. It's been a little while since we've seen that. He was really the talisman of the first few years of Super Tri, and now he is back again. And in the twilight of his short course career, still showing us he's got the goods.
Oh, he certainly is. He won the championships in 2018 and 2019 when Katie Safiris won her 2 titles. I mean, such a strong athlete. When he stood on the start line in those years, he was absolutely invincible. It was like, okay, who's coming second? So it is absolutely fantastic to see him out in the lead now. And what's great about this, it is only 7 seconds or so, 6 or 7 seconds, but it gives him an opportunity not to panic into transition and a little bit of advantage going out on the run.
Yeah, very soon we're going to see who the short shoots are given to for every team but Brownlee Racing, as Johnny Brownlee continues to now lead the Brownlee charge. He's in that group at the back there, which has all kind of come together and includes every athlete that's not in this top 6. So 10 strong. Shoes go on for Nina. He looks like he's having a good transition. Wild comes in, best transitioner in the sport at the moment, so he might back a little bit of time back. Lewis, Velarza, Wild, Berger, Hellwig is your top 6 at the moment, and the chasing pack then comes in behind them.
That wasn't a great transition for Luis. He definitely lost a few seconds there. Not quite sure what was going on, but he's second here now, chasing Kenji Nana up the hill. And I cannot imagine how much this hurts coming off the bike and going straight up the hill. This is the second round. They'll do this once. In the next round of swim, bike, run, they'll have to do this twice. Kenji Nana making his way down this descent now with the hat on in preparation for the swim. Le Berger looking comfortable there. Tim Hellwig for Stars and Stripes Racing just off the back. He needs to push on a little bit because what he doesn't want to do is get dropped off the pace when they dive into the water.
So off the start run, it was 26 seconds between top and bottom, and athletes like Hauser were 21 seconds back. Brownlee was 21 seconds back. Connick's 19 seconds back. Athletes of note, Jack Willis there at 22. We'll head back down now to Adam Leach.
Parker, you've got Tim Hellwig and Vasco Velarza. They're just a little bit off the back here of this group, but they are right in with a chance in this race. What have they got to do tactically?
Tactically, I think right now we're seeing them still right on the back of that front pack. Both of them have been swimming and biking really strong. You saw them bring that second pack up to the front, right near the very end. The short shoot's going to be hard for me to determine between those 2 guys, so I'm going to see whoever runs the best right here is probably going to get it.
At the moment, though, that's what Parker Spencer says. It is crown, podium, and no one else at the top 4. But then Velarza looks like he's pushing up onto the back of Berger, who is looking to complete the 2 from 2 here, heroics at home in Toulouse. And it's Hellwig who's yo-yoing off the back and needs to have a big swim if he's going to join this pack, who's coming together in preparation for this final. Probably the worst part, if you ask any of the athletes of this format, is the 3rd swim, at which you are absolutely spent, and then you get back into the water after using only your legs for the last 15 or 20 minutes, have to go straight back into the arms. And this is where it's really made or made or broken, I suppose.
I just can't imagine how hard it is. I know these guys train it really, really well, but this is going to be interesting, this swim. Some of the athletes in the first swim choosing, or many athletes choosing to wear the wetsuit, so it'll be interesting to see how they find the water now as Hayden Wild, the series leader, takes his trainers off, but it looks like Kenjinina is, no, they've got to be careful around here. We saw a couple of athletes slip there. That carpet there hasn't dried out well
there goes Velasa.
Since the rain this morning. Tim Hellwig, I think, just about managing to get on the back there. Tim Hellwig has been a brilliant addition to Stars and Stripes Racing, a 4th and a 5th so far. Didn't race in London. He was part of that gold medal winning Olympic mixed relay team for Germany. So Hellwig has just got to work really hard now on these first 100 metres just to make sure he finds some feet and can benefit from a little draft. Hauser has ran himself back into this race, Will. He really has. At one point, I honestly thought he was dead and buried.
Well, 22 seconds is a long way to go back from here, but he's a good swimmer.
Yeah, he's a good swimmer. And I tell you what we've seen with Hauser, his swim tends to improve. Where many of the athletes, the swim gets slower, Hauser's tends to get quicker through the rounds.
Well, he gets slower.
Slower.
He doesn't get quicker through the rounds, but he gets less slower than everybody else.
Can you just explain that? No,
you know what I mean. Everyone else gets worse.
Yeah, everyone else gets worse. He stays the same, but it means he doesn't drop off, so he looks like he's swimming quicker.
I would say Nina's having a real swim, isn't he? So he's on the feet of Lewis. He's gone past Wild now, who is just dropping back and wants to get off the hip of Nina and take the feet, while Bergier wants to take the feet of Nina as well. And the 2 Stars and Stripes athletes, Hellwig has swum his way back up to this group, but Lewis, with that really distinctive vertical hand angle when he goes in on the right hand, you always know it's him. He looks pretty comfortable, and we're going to get confirmation of the short shoots right now, and the decision from Chris McCormack is to hand it to Hayden Wild, not Vincent Lewis.
I would have given it to Vincent Louis. I think he deserves it. Oh my goodness me, well, that's going to be interesting. I don't even think Hauser would need it, but at the end of the day, they're racing in France. Léa Bergère is going to be close at the finish, and I guess you need to give your leader that little advantage just in case they need it. But Vincent Louis,
but you know what? He'll only make 1 point up because you get 40.
Exactly.
He's on 44. So, well, I don't know. I would have been a big boost for Vince. But the run on Hayden Wild with the short shoot, well, he puts his money in the bank, isn't it? So the other two, well, should we keep them in suspense?
So we've got a 3.
Let's keep them in suspense. No longer. Léa Bergère gets 1. And Vasco Velasa is your other 2 short shoot athletes. So there are your 3 confirmation bottom left of your screen, all protagonists at the front end of this one, so will be really interesting. We'll head down to Adam Leach once again.
Tim, Léa Bergère on home soil here, a massive home favourite, and you've given him a short shoot. Can he do this, do you think?
I think he can. I believe in him. He earned the short shoot, so I've given it to him. It was a toss-up between him and Kinji, but he earned it, so it's gone to the home favourite.
Well, fair enough. Can't argue with that. Can't argue with Tim Don anyway. He knows way more than just about everyone about triathlon.
Yeah, I would never take him on in any sort of discussion, debate about triathlon. The man is an encyclopedia. At the moment, though, we've got 3 athletes that have broken away a little bit here, Will. Vincent Louis is really pushing
Hayden,
this swim. They have dropped Hayden. Let's have a look.
Nina, and we will see Bergère behind him, I would say.
And there's a bit of a gap, which is interesting on this last round.
Wild on the right.
Yep.
Wild on the right back there in that battle for 4th position. And it was Velasa and Hellwig who at that point were with him. The other group's being dragged up by Hauser and the light Connings as well, who's a fantastic swimmer. So we'll see them as they come out of the water. It's Lewis and Nina. Then it is Velasa who was in 3rd position, not Bergère. So a great swim from the Portuguese athlete. And then behind them it is Bergère. Wild is there in 6th position behind Hellwig.
And this would be a fantastic group. Sorry, Will, but I'm just kind of getting excited now about the potential of a little breakaway here, as Kenjinina doesn't do the best job of getting on his bike. Vasco Velasa is on Vincent Louis, and next out in this little chase group is Leo Berger, Tim Hellwig is there, and Wild will be aware of a little bit of a danger as those three will be starting to work their way up the hill and work really well together. Hauser is out, Pierre Lecour is out as well, and Dorian Connix, who was a second place finisher here back in 2022, a little bit down, but in that chase group.
Yeah, little screen, you can see the Brownlee and the rest of the Brownlee athletes out. They are having a struggle at the back of the pack at the moment. It's a little bit like what happened with Alex Yee and the team back in Chicago when they were right off the back. So difficult times for Non-Stanford and the Brownlee team. Excellent times for Kenji Nina.
He races well here, doesn't he, Will?
Well, he's fearless, you know, and fear is a factor on this course about pushing it. How far to the edge do you want to push it on the bike? And you see athletes of the experience of Johnny Brownlee coming down, and you think, maybe I'll back it off 5%. There is no back it off 5% for Nina. He's either going to win or he's going to crash trying.
Absolutely. Third he finished here in 2022. He is desperate, the man, isn't he, for another podium finish. I would love it simply just to be able to see his interview, because he interviews so well. He's so passionate about racing and this sport. He just needs to hang on a little bit. Let's see if Vincent can get on his wheel. Vasco Valaza is there. Who's this here? Leo Berger doing all the work on the front. Wild is there, and Tim Hellwig as well from Stars and Stripes Racing. Can they stay away? They do seem to have pulled a little bit back, though.
Yeah, so Wild, Berger and Valaza are your short shoot athletes. So Valaza is in the box seat at the moment, being as part of the front group of three. Then you've got your chase group of 3-4 seconds in arrears. And there's a big gap breast to the chasing pack, who will be led, I think, by Hauser, or they was coming out of the first lap. And we'll see what the gap is in just a second. But we've got a race in threes right now. Nina for podium racing, Lewis and Valaza for Crown and Stars and Stripes Racing as well. Then you've got Berger, Wild and Hellwig again, podium, followed by Crown, followed by Stars and Stripes Racing. So we've got white, red and blue, and then Hauser all by himself, 18 seconds back, but 7 seconds ahead of McQueen.
Very significant. Something I just saw there. Leo gave a nudge to Wild to say, come through, and Wild swerved off to the side. He's like, I'm not coming through. He's letting Leo Berger do all the work. Is that because he wants to save his legs to the run, or because he simply can't? We know how strong Leo Berger is on the bike, but so is Wild. But he's had a lot of travel, as has Leo Berger. He finished second in that race in China that Wild just fell apart, that Alex Yee won just a couple of weeks ago, the World Triathlon Championship Series. So there could be some fatigue in these athletes' legs from the travel.
Yeah, well, Hayden Wild said he hadn't been tapering for this race because he's in a block of training, as you say. So he might not have the matches to burn on the bike that we usually see. Now, confirmation, more bad news for Johnny Brownlee. He's been handed a 5-second penalty for equipment out of the box, as has Max Stapley. So Max Stapley has been a bit scrappy with his penalties in this season so far. Stapley with the penalty, he'll take it on the run, and Brownlee too.
So we've grown, the gap has grown another 2 seconds now. So it was 4 seconds, it is now 6 seconds, but Wild working really hard up that hill. Looks like he's pulled back a little bit of time on the hill. They'll be aware, the guys in front here, the three in front, the strong running legs of Berger and Wild as well. So they'll want to stay away from them for absolute sure. Torn there, winding up the top 11, 31 seconds down.
Okay, 6 seconds the gap between the top three and the next three. When we look at the results from last time or across the series, Lewis hasn't seen a podium, 5th, 9th and 6th. Valaza, well, he had that podium in Chicago, finished 8th in London. And Kenji Nina, well, he's been 11th, 6th and 4th. We'll head down to Adam with Chris McCormack.
Chris, you've given the short shoot to Hayden Wild. Was there an argument for giving it to Vincent Lewis there?
It was probably the toughest short shoot we've had to give. I think Vincent's done a lot of work and earned it today, but when I saw that podium had given it to Leo Berger, you know, we want to win this overall day. You know, the points is good. I think Vince will be up there, but if Hayden versus Leo in a run race after last year, I want Hayden on the top of the podium.
There you go, and look at that gap. It has disappeared. It was 6 seconds on the last lap, and in the second half of that lap, Hayden Wild has dragged Berger and Hellwig back into this group. So we're back to a group of 6. How much is that taken out of the Falcon? That's the question now, with 2 laps to go on the bike and 2 laps to go on the run.
I think he gave himself a little bit of time to recover on that the first couple of laps after the swim. He suffered in the swim for sure, probably a bit of cold as well. And then I think once he'd recovered slightly, you say recover, how do you recover on a course like this? But he certainly suddenly found another gear and was able to come around Le Berger and pull back that deficit of 6 seconds. So in just 1 kilometre. But when you're chasing, I think psychologically it's a little bit easier sometimes because you can see the athletes up ahead. Hauser now in 7th place, 20 seconds down. McQueen, LaCour, Koenig, Torn, they make up that next group, and Brownlee not too far off the pace. But as you mentioned, he has picked up a time penalty. It just gets worse for Brownlee today. But you know what? I take my hat off to the multiple Olympic medalists. I really do, for sticking with this game, because it is tough here in Toulouse. And I think after his crash this morning, no one would have forgiven him for pulling out. But that's not the way Johnny works. So
yeah, just, you know, I'm concerned about the depth of Brownlee Racing 2 in the men, because, you know, they had 73 points overall in Boston, then 57, now 45. You know, Jess Fulliger had a good race for the women. Beth Potter did okay by her standards, because she's obviously capable of more. We've seen that before. But now they're all anchored at the bottom in the men's race again, and they're starting to really lose the battle to Stars and Stripes. So questions to be asked ahead of Neon, where there'll be more points on offer, and they're the only team that aren't represented in this top 6, who now take on the last lap of the bike and then a 2-kilometre run, and we are done here in Toulouse. And Valasa, where he's looking for his best result, he'll really move up in the standings with this, because he missed Boston. So all the points he collects here will go into his total. There's no doubt about that. And Nina, well, he loves this event. 11th, 6th and 4th. He is really ready for his first podium of season 2024. The same for Hellwig, who hasn't been on the podium yet. He's at 4th and 5th. Bergier, though, well, he's at 2nd and 3rd, so he'll be a big mover too after missing Boston.
So we're missing 2 athletes off our timing graphic there. Let's see who they are.
That's Bentley. I think we're missing Bentley. And
we have, there we go, Sergio Baxter,
yep.
55 seconds down. Bentley 55 seconds down. They've just got to dig in and
probably
sure
likely no eliminations in this race, though.
which is great, and on such a tough
I love
course.
eliminations.
I know you do.
Well, you're an
mean.
athlete.
Yeah.
Oh, you're an athlete.
I like the way you say I'm an athlete.
Well, former athlete.
I could still give you a run for your money, Will McCoy, that's for
you
sure.
can beat me in a run, but not in a fight.
You're a lot bigger than I am. Well,
a lot bigger than everyone on this course, actually, as they get their feet out of the shoes, and we head into the last transition, the 8th transition of the day. And here we go. We're going to race in 6, and how good is this going to be? 2 Crown athletes, 2 Stars and Stripes athletes, 2 podium athletes, and everything to play for in front of the biggest crowd of the season. Well, rivaled by London, but the French, they love this one, and they're going to be treated to a really quality race. We've got 2 athletes here involved in big controversy last year in Wild and Bergier, and they are looking for some payback. Hauser all on his own, but the race is going to be won from the front as the Red Bull cap goes on. Not 100% straight, but it's good enough. Valasa, 2nd up. Nina, Lewis, then Bergier. Hellwig in 6th, as he has been throughout. Who's got it left?
I don't know, but it's hard, isn't it, to, I think, bet against Wild. He is just so awesome in supertri racing this year, and as he has been in many years. Time to put on the glasses.
Oh, look, he's got it straight now. Excellent.
What's that?
You got the hat straight.
Right, you got to get the hat straight.
Fix it. I mean, like, I don't know, when I'm running in a race, which doesn't happen that often, I haven't got time to think about anything else. None at all. Anyway, Parker Spencer will be happy. He is right in this fight, and he's with Adam Leach right now. Let's find out what the tactics are.
Parker, what an incredible race this is. You've got 2 guys right up the front, but Vasco, he's right on the heels of Hayden Wild here.
Vasco's having a great day. That's why I gave him the short shoot. I really think that he's someone who can contend for the win. Tim is also having a great day, so I could have given it to him, and I think he would have done just as well. It was a hard thing for me to determine between the 2 of those guys. But really happy with how Stars and Stripes are racing today. After the women were in 1st, I'm hoping we can finish today in 1st here in Toulouse.
Well, there you go. Fair enough, too. And why not? He's been getting better and better. Stars and Stripes Racing have gone from 46 points to 63 to 74, and now they're looking to really cash in. Wild on the front for Larsa, sitting on the hip. Then it's Nina, then Berger, the winner from last year. Helwig has overtaken Lewis, who has not had the runs of late that we've seen him have in the past. The first short shoot, it goes to Wild, Velasa and Berger. They will lead, and we'll see what the gap is. What it creates, it's not much, honestly. It's just a positional change, really, but maybe those other athletes have to give a little bit more around the bend to stay with them.
Yeah, you can just see it just makes it a little bit tougher. It's just, and as we were saying, it's a bit of a psychological boost. And here in Toulouse, the short shoot is just marginal, the gains that you will get. Vincent Louis just desperately hanging on. We'd all love, I think, to see Vincent Louis up on the podium, but it's going to be tough day, I think, trying to get there. But just having a look at his results, 5th in Boston, 9th in Chicago, he can improve on that, so that'll give him more points going into the final, and a 6th in London. But they're all still together there, no one's pulling away. Interesting to see that Wild hasn't dominated this first run. It'd be interesting to see what he's got up his sleeve for this final lap that they are approaching right now. That's Hauser, Matt Hauser in 7th place in the background.
All right, a gap back to Vincent Louis now. He's the first to be gapped. Who has kept something in the tank and who hasn't? Who can ride a wave of this support and who can't? Can Hayden Wild take a 3rd win in a row? Can Stars and Stripes deny him? Can Nina hang on the back? Who is going to stand on the podium? Vincent Louis looks like he has shot his shot, and it is done. He's a veteran, though. Maybe he's left something back, but he's been gapped at the moment. The athletes with the short shoot are sitting at the front. Helwig now, though, moves in to 3rd position ahead of Berger. So the 2 podium athletes are in 4th and 5th. Wild looks in control. The penalty being served, lower right of your screen for Johnny Brownlee. Max Stapley will do the same thing. Maybe he already has. No, he hasn't been through yet. There he is in 12th position. Willis in 13th is the first of the Brownlee athletes.
I'll just look at the crowds roaring Vincent Louis on, and Léo Berger, of course. They'll know them all from the years that Vincent Louis was dominating triathlon. Léo Berger, of course, taking the bronze medal in Paris. But it's Helwig now that takes the lead. Wild hasn't got it all his own way, and Vasco Velasa certainly isn't giving up either. Léo Berger is still there. You'd have to say your money's on Wild, but these guys are giving him a serious run for his money.
Could Helwig snake this one from the big names of supertri in his debut season? He's finished 4th and 5th. He sat out London, and now it's a Stars and Stripes 1-2. Hayden Wild, can he keep up with this? Kenji Nina's fallen off the back. We're at the top end of the course. We're about to see the short shoot, and then it'll be a straight shot down the promenade for the victory. Stars and Stripes 1-2. Vasco takes the short shoot. Wild does. Berger does. Where does Helwig slot in now? He's going to slot in back in 2nd, maybe. So it is Stars and Stripes 1-2 still. And Wild might not have it this time. Wild might not have the legs to come back. He is really putting it down. Berger looks like he's off the back. Big gaps back to Nina and Lewis. But it's the American 1-2. Velasa and Helwig. And Wild looks around. He just looks behind him now.
Oh, my word, Tim Helwig is not giving up. He's giving it absolutely everything. But could this be Vasco Velasa's first ever victory in supertri? It looks like the Wild is done.
It looks like Wild might not do it. It looks like Velasa's going to do it. It looks like it could be Helwig. The 2 of them are fighting for the win. And Wild has given up, and Velasa takes the victory. And he loves it, and he falls over, and why not? Helwig takes 2nd, and Wild on the podium doesn't improve his overall. Berger takes 4th. Nina, courageous all day. And Lewis in front of his home crowd picks up 6th position. And I have just blown a gasket on that one. That was huge.
I'm speechless. I've loved watching this guy's career. I really have. He's such a talented athlete, but he's always there or thereabouts, never on top of the podium. What an incredible athlete he is, the Portuguese athlete. Hauser coming home for a commendable 7th place finish here in Toulouse.
Well, well, well. Matt Hauser fought on his own all day, ends up in 7th where he sat. Connix loses out to Thorne in a sprint for 8th. Lacour comes over in his debut race of the season in 10th position. And what a couple of finishes there we've had. Taylor Brown, too good. Velasa on a Stars and Stripes 1-2 and a 3-way sprint at the back end. Willis gets it ahead of McQueen and Stapley between 11th and 13th. and this course and these athletes just deliver.
This is brutal, isn't it? This is brutal racing, but this is the racing we love. It's tough right to the line. Brownlee just across the line in 15th position. Will McCloy is just taking a break now. I think he needs a nap after that excitement. Chase McQueen stretched out on the floor there. 1 minute down, but a finish for Chase McQueen after 2 eliminations early on. He finished in London, but a solid result from the athlete. But it was his 2 teammates that ran so well. Vasco Velasa taking his first victory in supertri. Hellwig in 2nd place. Great day for Stars and Stripes racing.
Well, if you don't love this, what are you doing? Where else would you rather be? What are you thinking? This kind of effort from this kind of athletes at that speed on this course in this city with these fans. Let's head down to Adam right now.
First ever supertri victory. What an incredible day for you.
Yeah, I'm just so happy, and I mean, finishing next to Tim, who did an amazing run on that last leg, so we could finish side by side, just bring the points home to Stars and Stripes. I'm just over the moon with this result.
Where did you think you had it? Did you know?
Well, I really struggled first swim because of the cold, and I just went without the wetsuit, trying to be fair to the people who didn't have one. And from there on, I just was catching up to the front and giving all I had until the end, pretty much.
And you've been in supertri a long time, but this feels like a real breakthrough result as you're continually improving. What does this mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, the series didn't start in the best way with some sickness. I'm just happy to be able to show today what I've been working for.
And Stars and Stripes as well. What a day for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful journey together. We started far from the back in the team rankings, and then we were slowly, race by race, getting better, and I think the team is working together really well.
Well, many congratulations, Vasco. Vasco, a fantastic victory for you here in Toulouse.
And just a heads up, really amazing to be part of the team with Katie Zafir doing her last race today. Shout out to her.
Tim.
Thank you very much.
Tim, second here today. What a finish as well with Vasco. Did you think you might get him just at the end?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I finished the 2 US races with 2 top 5s, and I was saying to me, like, I can't go home this year without a podium. And I felt like this course was basically built for me. It has a hill on the bike, and then it's pretty technical. And yeah, in the end, I felt pretty good on the last run. And then I thought, yeah, let's try it and spin the legs on the downhill. Vasco had the short shoot, but it didn't really make much of a difference this time. So yeah, I was just thinking about sending it from like 2 minutes to go, and yeah, it was a little bit faster in the end. We were going side by side for basically the last 500 meters, and he just had a little bit faster kick at the end, but I'm super happy with second place today.
That was a fantastic result for you, Tim. Many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hayden, third place today. Not quite your day, but when you come third and you feel like it's not quite your day, that's a pretty good effort.
Yeah, I actually thought I had it in the bag. I felt actually really good, but then my shoe fell off halfway. So I was sprinting down the back straight against the boys with one shoe. So if you try and put like 30 mil a stack compared to on the foot, it's pretty hard to sprint. So yeah, it was just one of those things. It's just a technical mistake there, and it was pretty aggressive through the swim as well. Yeah, I had to fight my way out of it. I was kind of sick of some of the athletes pushing me around, and I was always falling back, and kind of gave some back to them. So it is what it is. But yeah, it was just one of those days and a technical mistake running without a shoe.
Just really quickly, you're so in control for Neom. You must feel like you've got this series pretty close to being wrapped up, right?
Yeah, it was really important for me to turn up here and make sure we got some good points for the team, but also just keep Leo and Matt. I know they're the closest in the race, and same with Tim as well. So it was just keeping them at bay, and yeah, happy with how today went.
Congratulations, Hayden. Pretty good for one shoe.
Cheers, thank you.
One shoe, eh? I'm trying to think of a nickname for him now. He's got the Falcon. We'll call him Stilts from now on. Vasco Velasa, he takes the win. And Hayden Wild, as he said, be happy because he keeps Hauser and Berger behind him, which is incredibly important for the overall. But how good for Vasco Velasa and for Tim Helwig as well, who take the top 2 spots for Stars and Stripes Racing. Hauser finished in 7th in the end, Nina in 5th, and Vetla Thorn as well, 44 seconds in arrears. And that is your top 8, and confirmation that Max Tapley didn't serve his penalty, so he is disqualified from 13th position.
Kenji and Leo here for Podium Racing. Kenji, well, you were right off the front there for so long.
Yeah, it was such a great race for me. I really enjoy the crowd of Toulouse. Like, it's such a pleasure to race here. Beautiful city, beautiful people. So thank you so much for everyone for giving me the energy today. I really appreciate it.
Leo, this home crowd for you here, it's been amazing the entire weekend. The noise was unbelievable.
Yeah, they were brilliant, and we had so much support, but not only for the French, but for all the athletes, and they all came for the show, and I think we gave them what they wanted.
Kenji, I mean, was there a time there where you thought you might just hold off that chase group?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Vince and I, if just a little bit more, like another 5 seconds, I reckon. I personally thought we had it, but unfortunately that's what racing is when at this level. I mean, around about the top 16 in the world racing here. Leo's bronze medalist, you know, Hayden's silver medalist. We're just missing Alex really out of the medal tally, so it's such a privilege to race against them.
And Leo, I mean, you're probably the one who potentially has the best chance of getting Hayden Wild in Neon. Do you still think you can do it?
Yeah, I think so. He showed that he had some weaknesses, especially in the swim. He tried so hard to draft us, but sometimes a little bit like grabbing the tri-suit, I think. So yeah, I think we have a chance to beat him in Lyon, but it's not only about beating Hayden, it's beating his team. And yeah, I think we've got a good job to do in a couple of weeks.
Well, many congratulations to you both, and we'll see you in Neon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Two of the nicest guys in triathlon, and if Leo Berger says, oh, he was grabbing me a little bit, he's probably understating what happened. So no love lost between those two, but that's why they're championship rivals, and that's why these guys are the best in the world. Those two won't stand on the podium. In fact, it'll be Stars and Stripes and Crown, and we'll head down there right now. Back onto the black carpet as we look forward to our podium ceremony. And you can see Hayden Wild talking with Vasco Velasa on the left-hand side of screen as they head out to that. But the first time we see a Stars and Stripes athlete up on the top step in the men's this year.
Adjointe au sport à la ville de Toulouse.
Vasco Velasa has really been a mainstay of Super Tri over the years, and it's so good to see another young athlete that's come through, like Hayden Wild, but taste success on the top step after years of battling along and picking up podiums. Hayden Wild, well, he's lost the other shoe. He decided to take off the last one instead of put on the other one, which is maybe someone who's around the back of the course is going to go home with one expensive shoe. Could be what happens in the end. You might not see it again. So Wild not necessarily happy with the result, but certainly happy to keep Hauser and Berger behind him in the overall. Tim Helwig, the German for Stars and Stripes, picks up very important points. He'll be a big mover from 7th position. Now up to standings at the end of this one.
Et à la première place, le champion de la Supertri Toulouse 2024. Il vient du Portugal. Il représente l'équipe des Stars and Stripes Racing. Monsieur Vasco!
And finally, he enjoys every minute of it and whatnot. Vasco Velasa takes the win for Stars and Stripes. The medals there handed out by Julie Faramond, City of Toulouse Municipal Councillor. The champagne's going to come courtesy of Thibault Lalamont, President of the Ligue Occitanie de Triathlon. And thanks also to Christophe Delahaye from the Region Occitanie, a councillor who handed out the medals for the women's as well. What a couple of hours of racing we've had once again here in Toulouse. A real fan and athlete favourite of a race. So let's have a look then at how it stands. And Toulouse does not count for Wild because he finished second, first, and only the best 3 results count heading into Neom. So 5 points there back to Berger, and 2 further to Hellwig, who moves up from 7th into 3rd, with Valasa moving in to 4th position from 9th. Meanwhile, Taylor Brown has done it perfectly, 45 from 45, a reminder there. Taylor Spivey moves up into 2nd with her 2nd place, tied with Jean Lehair, who had a mechanical. And then an overall wrap-up of the team standings, and 75 points to 69 Crown over Podium means they extend their lead by 6 heading into the final one. Stars and Stripes now extend their lead significantly with a team best 87 over Brownlee Racing's 51. And that wraps us up from here in Toulouse. We hope you've enjoyed every single minute of it. We certainly have. What racing we've had. And next up, it is Neom.
Mais évidemment, plus que jamais, le public, on a envie de les remercier. Les spectateurs ont été énormes. Merci à l'équipe, ça fait partie du show. Merci les athlètes, merci le public, merci le parcours, merci les organisateurs et les bénévoles. Mais je crois qu'il faut déjà prendre rendez-vous l'année prochaine parce que là, chaque année, c'est de mieux en mieux. Et ça se rend comme il l'année prochaine parce qu'on a été pour open avec un triathlon et sa triathlon. Les inscriptions ont commencé. Vous pouvez d'ores et déjà réserver votre place.
The sun continues to shine down here in Toulouse, and what racing we have had, and it has really changed the complexion of all of the leaderboards. 87 points for Stars and Stripes Racing off that 1-2 in the men's, lifts them to within striking distance perhaps of second place, and definitely away from Brownlee Racing, who only picked up 51 points. Crown Racing, they added another 6 points to their gap between them and Podium Racing, so it is really all to play for when it comes to Neom, when there are plenty of points on offer, no doubt about that. And that is how it sits. But Stars and Stripes 1 and 2 for Valasa and Tim Hellwig really helped with Hayden Wild on a podium, along with Kate Woff and Georgia Taylor Brown for the women. And speaking of the women, let's look at the standings. Georgia Taylor Brown, after second in Boston, that doesn't count for her. Would count for anybody else because she's gone 1-1-1 since then, and only the top 3 of 4 count heading into Neom. Taylor Spivey, a second place for her to add to her 3rd and 4th places. She moves to 39 points, equal with Jean Lehair, who unfortunately had a mechanical incident, flat tyre, to use the layman's terms, and she sits in 3rd. 3 Crown Racing athletes in the top 5, with Cassandra Beaugrand disqualified, as Jean Lehair was last year, for not doing up her helmet. And Kate Woff on the podium to add to her podium in Boston, finishes in 5th position overall, as Liv Matthias moves out of the top 5. And speaking of Crown Racing, with 3 in the top 5, Adam right now is with their manager, Chris McCormack.
Chris, what a great day for your women today.
Yeah, it's been a great series for the women, but today in particular, they like this course. Kate was the defending champion coming in, and Georgia's been in great form. So, and Cassandra, you know, racing at home. It's overall a good day, but you never count your chickens before they hatch. It's you got to get through 3 grueling triathlons continuously, and this super tri format's brutal, and on a course like this, it's even more so. So, to sneak the win in the women's race and to flank the podium like we did was pretty cool.
Yeah, and Georgia as well. I mean, just talk a little bit about her this year. She's been absolute imperious form.
it's just the way she races. I think that experience is there, the trust in her ability, and she just races with such grace. And you saw it today. She was second-guessing a couple of times when I was talking to her in transition about the short shoot. I said, look, you've got this. You don't need to shoot. And it's always a difficult decision to give a short shoot to one of the other peers. So I said, you don't need it. You're going to win this. You know you're going to win it. Just run away with it. And she did it comfortably. And she said to me after the race, I keep saying one more win and I'm done. You know, I'm counting the wins as they come. And maybe I'll go to Neom and try and clean sweep it. So I hope she does that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty remarkable in a format like supertri that's so hard. There's so much that can happen in this format that you helped create, of course. To actually be putting in back-to-back wins is pretty special.
Yeah, well, and they're getting so refined at it. We're, 7 seasons in now. They're really understanding the transitions. They're understanding the new team dynamic. And we've got a really great team. I think that whole team concept is a concept that has a lot of legs. It's growing, and you see the camaraderie amongst the athletes. And, you know, Georgia is a real leader of our women. And, you know, you've got young Kate who's looking to step up from her, and Cassandra, even though she's the Olympic champion, still looks for guidance from someone from Georgia. So, like Georgia, and Barb is a young up-and-coming athlete on the women's side who's just stoked to be in the team. So, yeah, for someone to be so dominant, it reminds me of Katie Zaferis back in the days, who's retiring at the moment after an amazing career. She dominated this series, and I think Georgia has just shown that across swim, bike and run, she's flawless and is the best triathlete on the planet right now.
And an important result for Kate as well, because I think her confidence has maybe been suffering a little bit in this series.
Yeah, I think Kate is probably the most incredible talent in our sport at the moment. She's, the sky's the limits for her. I think she took a bit of a beating post those Olympics and that whole Olympic qualification as part of that UK process. And, you know, I think she came out of that a bit rattled by it. She's still very, very young, and I think the result today, after the initial result when she was in Boston on the podium, I think she'll rise for that, and I think she wants to get a win in it. You know, when they talk together as teammates, I saw them in the tent, Georgia and Kate in particular, they're talking about how they can do this together, which is really, really unique in triathlon. So I'm really proud of all the girls that raced today. Cassandra just continues to surprise me. You look at her the first round, she looks like she's not in it, and then she just puts herself back into it. She was DQ'd today from a helmet infringement, but to race the way she did shows she's the Olympic champion and true world-class athlete.
Well, many congratulations for your Crown Racing team today, Chris. Great result, and on we go to Neom.
Thanks. I've lost my voice. It was loud down here, that's for sure.
That's what you want, though, and as Crown Racing is pitted head-to-head with Podium Racing, so is Chris McCormack pitted head-to-head with Tim Don. Real clash of the Titans, and Annie's down there on the black carpet right now with Tim to wrap up the race.
Tim, it's been a good day, but it's been a tough day. You've lost ground for sure on Crown. How does that feel as the manager?
I mean, you know, when you lose 11 points, it's always tough. But, I mean, Toulouse, it always throws something in the curveball. 2 athletes disqualified from the same team is unheard of in our sport. You know, I'm proud with how my guys raced. The men raced so fair. And they were pushing it all away. Jean Lahaire got a flat tyre. You know, Vittoria Lopes, you know, I wasn't saying she was thinking about not racing. She was always going to race, but she has been ill all week. And her bicycle only arrived from America, where she's based, yesterday. So we were up against it, but fair play to Crown Racing, and to see Stars and Stripes, you know, take the 1-2 in the men's race. Gutted for Katie Zaferis getting eliminated in her last professional race. But we'll be back in Neom, and we'll be fighting full gas.
Tim, can you pull anything back in Neom? I know it's going to be really tough. Crown have an incredible team, but so do you.
You've got to believe it. You've got to believe in your ability to rise to the next level. I know the athletes will be hard on themselves for the next 48 hours, but we've got time between now and Neom to reset. They're not gonna not fight. You know, the beach swim definitely suits us, and I know Jean, she's got fire ready to go again, and that's all we can do. You know, you can control what you can control. We've been talking about this week about racing aggressively, and I think we definitely tried that. We just had some bad luck. We really did.
4 weeks to go. Let's see what can happen.
Absolutely. Everything to play for.
Right, a confirmation then of the men's table as it stands, and Wild with 5 points ahead of Berger. Tim Hellwig and Vasco Velasa, having finished second and first in this race, both a first podium and a first win for Hellwig and Velasa respectively, go third and fourth, and they are right in the mix. If not for the top spot, then definitely for second. Hauser and Nina will go head back down to Annie now with Non-Stanford.
Non-tactics play a huge part in Super Tri, but do you think your team played the right tactics? Let's just look at the men's swim to start with.
Yeah, it's touch and go with that, because obviously Jack was second out of T1 on the first race, so that really paid off for him, but the other three were the three last out, so I think it's really individual. I personally would have advised a wetsuit, but it's touch and go and it paid off for Jack, so I can't question that too much, to be honest.
The girls did really well. It was brilliant to see Jess Fulliger out there, who, for me, really made the racing today in the women's race. So honest on the bike.
Yeah, well, Jess is so technically good on the bike. This course is always going to play into her hands, but to see her out there gaining confidence every lap, really pulling that race apart and riding with some of the best girls in the world, hopefully that's boosted her confidence ahead of the last round. And yeah, I think, like I say, kudos to her and her competence on the bike.
Let's just have a chat about Johnny Brownlee, because I think we're all bitterly disappointed for him. You picked up on a few things actually in the race after the crash this morning. Tell us about them.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about Johnny in the race, actually. He was struggling to put things into his box. He was struggling to get his bike into the rack. So I don't think he's feeling great after the race, to be honest with you. And we'll make sure he's checked over and make sure he's looked after properly now once we get back to the hotel.
And the rest of the boys, how are they faring?
I think they were a bit disappointed, to be honest with you. Jack, that was his first ever Super Tri, so I think he did brilliantly, and it was a great debut for him. He was right up there throughout the race. But I think the other three are a little bit tired and a little bit disappointed, so hopefully we can rally ahead of the last one in Neom.
Well, let's look forward to Neom, but at the moment, we're going to have a chat with Parker Spencer, and he's got a lot to say about his top boys today.
Parker, that's the first men's 1-2 that we've seen in the series so far. What a day for Stars and Stripes.
Oh man, that was just an epic day all around. We've continued to get better race after race. In Boston, we were the last place team, and then today in Toulouse, we were the first place team overall, and won by 8 points. And so all the guys contributed a lot. We had every single one of the guys on the team also had individual sport points too. So Adam, Pierre, LaCour helped big time, I think. But then Tim and Vasco were just on another level today. Both of those guys had bike points as well. Made my job really hard with the short shoot, but in the end, we still went 1-2.
And can I just ask you a little bit about Vasco? Because he's still a young athlete, but he's got a bag of experience, especially at Super Tri. What does winning a race like this do for him, do you think?
Oh, man, I think it's just huge confidence. So he went from being sick in the first race this year, I think he was last in Boston, to winning today. It's amazing what can happen in just a month and a half. So he's definitely stoked, and I've been in Girona the last week where he's been training and just seen how hard he's been working the last couple weeks. So it's really cool to see all that hard work pay off.
And just quickly, just at the end there, when the two of them are sprinting together, how hard a moment is that as a team manager? Because you're like, I can't cheer for either of them, but I need to cheer for both of them.
Oh, I was just stoked to just see both of them coming in together. And then I also felt a little bad for Tim since I gave the short shoot to Vasco. But Tim said, oh, Vasco, I think, earned the short shoot anyway. So those guys were just as stoked for each other. And that's what I'm also really proud of. We've got a really good team dynamic. And I couldn't be more excited for Neom.
Well, just really quickly on 2 words on the Neom, Parker, could you make a bridge? Could you get up to second?
I think we're about 30 points behind Podium Racing. Anything can happen. I think we put about 30 points into them today. So if we can have another really big day in Neom, and we've got a very similar roster there as well, I think right now we're on a high, and we just got to keep that going for several more weeks.
Well, many congratulations, Parker, and we'll see you in Neom. And now over to Will and Annie.
Thanks, Adam. And the crowd continues to stick around, looking for signatures, looking to stay up close and personal, I guess, with their favourite athletes. And looking to come down, I guess, from what was an incredible afternoon of racing. It always delivers here, and we saw, again, another couple of chapters in the history of Super Tri that we will not forget.
Oh, we certainly won't. Every year we come here and something different happens. But what we do see time and time again is just some incredible performances from the athletes and the ability to dig in. We were talking about Johnny Brownlee. He didn't feature, but he didn't have to race after the crash this morning. But the points were so important for his team that he cracked on with it, supporting his own team members.
Yeah, and it just shows how important Super Tri is to these athletes, that an athlete like Georgia Taylor-Brown or Hayden Wilde, knowing that they could only win 1 point and they really didn't need to come here, and he didn't actually help. He's just, Hayden Wilde's like, I just want to be in between these other two athletes. Like, there's a lot to play for when we get to Neom.
there is so much to play for, and we've got points and a quarter, right? So normally they get 15 for a win, 20 in Neom.
Yep.
So you've got to play it carefully, but, you know, for me, he's the out-and-out favourite, without a doubt. But Tim and Vasco, that for me was absolutely brilliant, and that was the race so far of the season in supertri.
What was your standout moment? Before we look ahead to Neom finally, for me, I think watching Katie Zafiris in the last race was fantastic. Rivaled by Vasco, but quickly, what was yours?
Oh, gosh, it's always Georgia Taylor-Brown, the way she wins. Sorry, I know I'm biased, I'm British.
No, you're very biased.
But I love watching Georgia Taylor-Brown. She's like a machine. She's like a robot, isn't she? She's just absolutely brilliant the way she delivers time and time again. 3 in a row.
All right, fantastic. That wraps us up from here in Toulouse, one of our favourite stops, but we head to Neom on the 3rd of November, where it is all to play for. The championship is going to be decided. Do not miss that. It is going to be absolutely huge. On behalf of Annie and everybody else, it's bye for now. Sorry. Say again. Sorry, I was not. My mic was not on. So I've missed you. That's always a problem. They say the second last race of any series is where it is won or lost, where hopes are dashed or championship aspirations are realised. And if that is the case, for supertri, there's no more willing battleground than right here in Toulouse. The athletes' favourite course, the fans' favourite race as well. And a guaranteed good time no matter where you are watching from, there's no doubt about it. And these fans get to watch the best women